Architecture first.
All right, folks, we are going to get started. The North Hunterdon-Voorhees Regional High School District Board of Education meeting on Tuesday, January 27, 2026 is now called to order. In accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meeting Act and JSA 10-4-6, adequate notice giving the time, date, location, and to the extent known the agenda of this meeting was sent to the Hunterdon County Democrat, Star Ledger, and Courier News on January 7, 2026, and published on January 12, 2026. In addition, notice of this meeting has been posted at the North Hunterdon High School and Voorhees High School, provided to the municipal clerks of Bethlehem Township, California Borough, Town of Clinton, Clinton Township, Franklin Township, Glen Gardner Borough, Hampton Borough, Highbridge Borough, Lebanon Township, Tewksbury Township, and Union Township, as well as other interested parties, and posted in the district on the district website. Fire exits are located in the direction indicated. If alerted to fire, please move in a calm and orderly fashion to the nearest smoke-free exit. Restrooms are located through the doors behind this desk and to the right as indicated. What's the right as indicated? Right as indicated that way. At this time, please silence all cell phones. I do just want to read the mission statement before we get to our flag salute. The North Hunterdon-Voorhees Regional High School District empowers all students through innovative and personalized learning to achieve their full potential, embrace lifelong learning, and contribute responsibly to a changing world. So now the flag salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we're going to have a few folks joining us who are just running a little bit behind, but we will get started. I guess beginning with the oath of office. So our board secretary, Ms. Blue, will administer the oath of office to Merrill Mezzacapa, representing the California Borough, Tewksbury Township.
That I support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States and in this state under the authority of the people, so help me God.
I, Merrill Mezzacapa, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States and this state under the authority of the people, so help me God.
I, Merrill Mezzacapa, do solemnly swear that I possess the qualifications prescribed by law for the office of Member of Board of Education, and that I am not disqualified as a voter pursuant to RS 19-4-1, nor disqualified due to conviction of a crime or offense listed in NJSA 18A 12-1, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of the office according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
I, Merrill Mezzacapa, do solemnly swear that I possess the qualifications prescribed by law for the office of Member of the Board of Education, and that I am not disqualified as a voter pursuant to RS 19:4-1, nor disqualified due to conviction of a crime or offense listed in NJSA 18A:12-1, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of that office according to the best of my ability, so help me God.
Congratulations.
I can get one more. All right. We'll get one posted. How's that? Smile big. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Merrill, thank you for stepping up and joining us, and welcome to the highest paying gig in state governance.
Thanks for having me.
It's been a long place.
All right, roll call.
Ms. Ayers? Here. Mr. Chapman?
Here.
Mr. Hanley?
Here.
Ms. Pitts?
Running late,
Mr. Doherty?
running late.
Mr. Matthews?
Here.
Ms. Mezzacapa?
Here.
Mr. Morgan?
Here.
Ms. Reyes?
Will not be in attendance.
Mr. Spanton?
Here.
Ms. Stein?
Running late.
And Mr. McIsaac?
Here. All right, I need a call for a motion and a second to approve agenda item 5.1 and 5.2. These are our minutes from December and January. Can I get a motion and a second?
Motion?
Yeah.
Second.
Ryan, thank you. Any questions or clarifications for anyone?
We established last meeting that the people who were not on the board abstained.
Certainly from the December one, but not the January one. Okay. All right. Any other questions or clarifications? So,
Only in regard to item 5, right? That's what you're asking?
yes, 5, whether it's 5.1 or 5.2. So it's not, I don't know if you want it, it's a voice vote, but I know we're going to have several folks abstaining because they.
Voice vote is still fine.
Okay, voice vote, all in favor? Aye. Abstentions? And to abstaining for 5.1, and any noes? Okay. All right, we now have the recognition of student achievements. So I don't know who is slated to begin.
Dr. Cottrell first.
All right, Dr. Cottrell.
Prop to show you today. As I introduce you to Brooklyn campus. Brooklyn, can you pass around our prop? So that is an indoor shot put, and how much does that weigh, Brooklyn?
8.8 pounds.
8 pounds. Okay, so I'm here to again introduce you to Brooklyn. Brooklyn first picked up a shot put at her freshman year here at North Hunterdon High School. Don't hurt yourself, okay? And she set a goal right at that point that she wanted to break our shot put record. And I'm here to proudly tell you that she did. So on December 12th at the St. John's Invitational Indoor Track Meet, and that's an indoor shot put, by the way, Brooklyn threw an incredible 36.9 feet to break our school record. This was 4 feet over her throw from last winter. So just to help you envision 36.9 feet as you picture that thing, if our board president, Mr. McIsaac, was to throw that shot put, 36.9 feet, it would land right after those first set of tables there. Okay. So obviously we're very proud of Brooklyn as she makes her place here in North Hunterdon history as she sets our school record. So just a little bit more about Brooklyn. She practices with our track team 3 times a week and trains every other day in the gym to maintain her strength. Beyond her own athletic success, Brooklyn works to coach our youth track and field team, the Junior Lions. And so she will continue this spring on our spring outdoor track and field season, where she will continue to throw shot put. She also plans to throw the javelin and discus as well. So she's going to have a busy spring, and we'll see what she can accomplish this spring. But I wanted to obviously acknowledge the big accomplishment here of setting a new school record. After this year, Brooklyn plans to attend RVCC in the fall, where she will pursue a degree in health and physical education, and she will continue to coach and inspire other young athletes. So she hopes to become a phys ed teacher one day. So we look forward to watching Brooklyn's continued success here at North, and maybe she'll be back one day to coach or teach some phys ed here. So congratulations to Brooklyn. I'll give you this. I'll take that. I'll give you an answer. I'll give you this. I'll take that because we're going to do a photo. Oops, and I left my phone back.
Mr. Squirsh's not here, I'll get it.
Oh, you got it? Okay, thank you. Okay, you're going to go right in front there.
I figured it's just easier.
Oh, you need to open that up, Brooklyn. Sorry. There we go. Great.
And then we have Mr. Peterson.
Good evening, everybody. I also have props, not as heavy. The young man who was supposed to be joining us tonight unfortunately cannot be here due to his busy schedule, but I'm here to recognize Alex Aldana. What you're going to see is a photo that Alex took. It's called the Quad Tour, and it was selected as a finalist for the Drexel University High School contest from over 2,100 entries, and will be exhibited at the Antoinette Westfall College of Media Arts and Design in Philadelphia from February 2nd to February 28th. Alex is a senior, and he is involved in our unified soccer team. He is also part of our photo club, Students for Change, Unified Club, Key Club, and Ski Club. He has done things for the school with his drone photography, such as taking photos of the milk can game and boys soccer games, and provided photos for the yearbook. Outside of school, he volunteers for hospice, Red Mill Garden, Reefs Across America, Meals on Wheels, the Country Garden Club, and jobs. He does embroidery, and what he's doing right now as we speak is babysitting, dog sitting, lawn care, and reselling different items. And then he is looking to go to, hopefully, to TCNJ in the fall. So I wish I could say Alex Aldana, everybody, but you know, he was very proud to receive this, and we're very proud of him in the photo and wish him all the best in his future. Thank you.
So congratulations to Alex, and Brooklyn, good luck in competitions ahead. Well done. Okay, we are shifting to our board student representatives report. I can't remember who went first last time.
Usually him.
Okay, so Samantha, would you like to go first?
Okay, so for anyone who doesn't know me, hi, I'm Sam Moore. I'm the representative from Voorhees, and I'm going to break my report down into sports, arts, and then other clubs and activities. So to start off with sports, I'm just going to highlight some achievements we have for each of our teams. So our boys basketball team recently defeated North 51-48 to begin the new year, and their coach Kevin Schaefer, has exceeded the 100 win mark this season, so that was very exciting. Boys fencing is 6-1 and recently placed 16th overall at Centrulos out of 50th. Our swim team is finishing up their season and most recently had 2 underclassmen place highly in their races at Hunterdon and Sussex. Our girls basketball team is 10-3 and is 6th in the Skyland Conference. Girls fencing is 5-2 and placed 20th out of 50 at Centrulos as well. Indoor track has some very exciting things coming up. They have Skyland and sectionals in the next 2 weeks. And the girls' sprint medley relay recently broke the school record with a new time of 4:25. Girls wrestling, their program has grown a lot this year with 4 underclassmen participating. And then we have boys wrestling with Christian Billette reaching 100 wins, and that number is still going up as the season continues. And then we have unified basketball, and our unified basketball team recently attended the Special Olympics complex to participate in a skill building workshop, and they said it was very productive and a lot of fun. In terms of arts, we have our annual Pops concert coming up, which if you don't know what that is, it's when our orchestra and band plays music that's like more contemporary themed, and they also dance, and it's a lot of fun. It's going to be on February 19th at 7 p.m. Drama Club is prepping for their spring musical, Into the Woods, which is April 16th to 19th. It's very good. I'm part of the show, and it's a lot of fun. In terms of clubs and activities, we had our winter pep rally on December 23rd, and we did Viking Draw, which I believe North did something similar, where all of the students received beads as they came in that morning, and they played rock, paper, scissors, and then the winners faced each other at the pep rally. We also had a pie in the face competition, where I believe 12 teachers were pied in order to raise money for Students for Change. Key Club held a successful book drive in January. The upper level Spanish classes attended the show La Gringa at the theater in New York, and we visited Little Spain Market in Hudson Yards, and that was a ton of fun and a very culturally educational performance and experience. Unified Club held an awareness booth that taught students about Braille on World Braille Day, which was January 7th, and Model UN received the title of Outstanding Delegation at their conference in Hershey, PA, with 3 students all receiving awards. So it's been a very productive month at Voorhees, and I'll have more for you next month.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that breakdown too into those
Yeah, I think
categories.
it's helpful, just
Yes.
because there's always a lot,
Yeah.
so.
And I think it kind of reflects the different dimensions and sides of achievement, which
We're
is
a
great.
multi-talented school with multi-talented students, it's a lot of fun.
All right, Max.
All right, a little bit hard to follow there. I'm Max Pilar. For anyone who doesn't know me, I'm the senior student representative for North Hunterdon High School. So starting off with sports, all of our winter sports are in full swing. Don't have a lot to report there because we're mid-season, but the sports include girls and boys wrestling, girls and boys fencing, girls and boys basketball, girls and boys swimming, girls and boys winter track, winter cheerleading, ice hockey, which is a shared team between our 2 schools, our dance team, and our unified bowling and basketball. Boys basketball held their Teacher Appreciation Night on Tuesday, January 20th. That is where each senior player invited their favorite teacher to the game to come out, watch them, and appreciate these teachers. And they actually won this game against Somerville by over 20 points. The girls swimming team was recently crowned the Hunterdon-Voorhees champions and will be moving on to the meet of champions. Two of our players on the North Hunterdon-Voorhees hockey team became the first players in district history to reach 100 points. This past Wednesday, North Hunterdon boys wrestling defeated Bridgewater Raritan in a blowout score of 42-28. Unified basketball and bowling are both happening right now. This week there were 2 home unified basketball games, both with bleachers full of family, friends, and our own other basketball teams cheering on our unified team members. February 23rd coming up is our very popular staff versus unified basketball game. This is a really big event that our school likes to get involved in. The National Honor Society is working to prepare for their Trivia Bowl. That's happening at the beginning of March, so we'll have a little bit more of that for next meeting. But all National Honor Society members, including myself, are teaming up to make baskets right now and collecting donations from local businesses for our drawing at the event, and all of the money is sent to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. We are also in the midst of our winter musical. Shrek the Musical is coming up at the end of February. I am Shrek, thank you so much. So if you did want to come to that would be amazing. Tickets are on sale at nhto.booktix.com. The Interact Club is doing a Duck Donuts fundraiser, so this is a little message from them. We are proud to partner with Atlantic Health System Morristown Medical Center to help purchase a hospital delivery cart. This will be named the Joey Car in honor of Joey Edwards, a North student who passed away 2 years ago. The cart will circulate throughout the hospital, providing coffee, personal care items, and other comforting supplies to patients and their families. We are truly excited about this meaningful opportunity and hope you will help make it a success. To kick off our fundraising efforts, we will be selling duck donuts for $25 per dozen. Sales will run through Monday, February 9th, and the donuts will be available for pickup on Wednesday, February 11th. Students can collect their donuts during the lunch in the mall or after school in the theater. We recently held our 8th grade orientation earlier this month. This involved all incoming freshmen from districts to come and get a tour of the school and learn about information coming to North Hunterdon next year. We also had all of our musical groups perform for them. So that included on the first day our marching band and our concert choir performing for them, and then our marching band and our string orchestra performing just to give them a taste of the music department at North Hunterdon. The North Hunterdon Education Foundation is doing a Jersey Mike's fundraiser. So with $3 subs, $3 you donate $3, go to the North Hunterdon Education Foundation, and you get a free sub. Finally, as we all have probably seen in the news, Governor Murphy signed into law the cell phone ban for grades K through 12 starting next school year. Dr. Cottrell is planning to bring this up at the next Student Advisory Committee, which contains all of our class officers and our Student Council and our National Honor Society, and discuss with our leaders of the school the best course of action for next year. And that's all I have for you.
All right, well, thank you, Max. I would say that was equally robust. So, but on that last note, I mean, obviously that is an important conversation and something that all schools will have to be grappling with next year. So it's good to hear that those conversations are happening sooner rather than later. And I didn't know when the leadership from each school comes together, I believe it's a couple of times, I can't remember if it was.
Yeah, we try to do a meeting every marking period.
Okay.
So this one will be for the 3rd. We've had, I think, 2 meetings.
Okay,
and
great.
it has freshmen through senior class officers.
Yeah, and so then would that topic be part of that meeting as well?
Yeah, that
Okay.
topic would be brought up, and each student would have the ability to say what their best suggestion was.
Right.
Because I think they're closest to the issue.
Right. You will both be graduated and be
Yes.
there the following classes
Yes.
that will be kind of working with that.
Interested in hearing.
Yeah, absolutely. The thoughts and ideas that come out of it, because
Yeah.
I think there's some good information there. All right, thank you very much. We have our board member roles and responsibilities training. So with us tonight, we have Kathy Poria, who is our school board's field rep for Hunterdon County. So I'd like to welcome Kathy to come up. There were a number of resources, so she'll reference the things that you have in front of you. There are extra copies if you need them at any point, and then some of them we may have in electronic versions as well. So Kathy, the floor is yours. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. Congratulations to your students and your new board member. That's kind of a nice thing when I travel around to these board meetings, is that I get to see all the amazing things that are going on in your school. So great job to them, great job to your student reps. I'm happy to be here. I think I've met most of you at this point. If I haven't met you yet, my name's Kathy. I'm the field service representative for New Jersey School Boards Association. I serve Hunterdon and Somerset counties. I just joined the organization in September, so I'm a little bit new to this, but I was a board member for almost 9 years in Hunterdon County, just about 20 minutes from here. And I was a board president for almost 6 years. And I also was the Hunterdon County School Boards Association president for 2 years before Tara took over, and she's doing a great job. I'm sure she'll tell you about our upcoming meeting in a little while. But I'm happy to be here and meet all of you. If you have any questions, we're going to talk about ethics tonight. Any questions along the way, feel free to stop me and ask them. We really do these trainings because we want you to be successful as board members. We want your boards to succeed because that's good for your students. And we don't want any of you to get caught up in an ethical violation. And I take an educational standpoint to it because I think sometimes it is easy to inadvertently violate the code of ethics or do it without realizing it, or maybe you're trying to be helpful. Now, the School Ethics Commission, they do expect you to know the code of ethics, and they don't take into account whether you knew or didn't know. So it's really important to familiarize yourself with these topics. So this is our disclaimer. I am not an attorney. We are not attorneys. A lot of these situations with ethics are really fact-specific and fact-sensitive. So if you have a specific situation that you're wondering about or you're concerned about, we will always advise you to reach out to Brendan, reach out to your BA, ask your board attorney, and get an opinion from your board attorney about your specific situation. So the School Ethics Act was put in place really to promote the public trust in what you're doing, because you're making very important decisions about the welfare of children and students in your communities. So that's why it was put in place, to help promote the public trust in what you do. And if you come from maybe a municipal background or a different type of political background, you as school board members are under a different set of ethics that don't apply to other elected officials, but they do apply to school board members. So that's a question we get sometimes when we're going through the code of ethics is, why can our other elected officials do this or that or post this or that on social media? It's because the code of ethics applies to school board members and not other elected officials. So who enforces the act? The School Ethics Commission is the body that enforces the act. They're made up of 9 members. They have public meetings. There are minutes posted online like any other public meetings. They have 5 non-school officials, 2 school administrators. It said on there 1 seat is currently vacant. I think they've since appointed a school administrator, and so maybe both those seats are filled now. But there are 2 school board member seats that are currently vacant. So we've been saying, if you are interested in serving on the School Ethics Commission, they're not appointed by us, they're appointed by the governor. Reach out to your local legislator and express your interest, and they can help with that. But the School Ethics Commission is who enforces the act. So these are the provisions. The mandatory training and the code of ethics itself applies to school board members, along with the disclosure statements and the prohibited acts. The disclosure statements and the prohibited acts apply to all school officials. That would include your administrators, NJSBA staff. I just had to do my disclosure statement. Those apply to all school officials. The ones that apply specifically to all of you are the mandatory training and the code of ethics, which we'll go through in a minute. So what training is mandatory? If you are new to the board, which I understand you have a number of new members this year, you need to take Governance 1 within the first 90 days. And we have been noticing the School Ethics Commission taking a very strict stance on completing your mandatory training. Board members have actually gotten removed for not completing their mandatory training. So make sure you take Governance 1 within the first 90 days if you're new. If you're in your second year, you take Governance 2, which is Finance and Student Achievement. By the end of the year 3, you take Policy and Labor Relations. And then in the first year, any re-elected term, you take Governance 4, which are legal updates. And we have many ways that you can do your mandatory training. We make it very easy for you. You can do it online, on demand. Your BA does need to register you. That's the only thing for any of the mandatory trainings, but you can do it online. There's live virtual. If you go on our website, you can see all the live virtual dates. And then, of course, we have, you could do them at workshop, and we have in-person trainings as well. The online trainings this year are AI enabled with Coach Carla. So if you take an online training and you use the AI part of it. Send me an email and let me know how it is. I'm interested. So financial and personal relative disclosure statements. So if you are new, these need to be filled out within 30 days of being sworn in. So make sure you do that because again, we are seeing the School Ethics Commission be very strict with timely filing and accurate filing of your disclosure statements. If you're a returning school official, you need to file it by April 30th. You will get emails and if you start getting close to the deadline, you will get numerous emails. But if you have questions about it, reach out to your BA. And they're not asking if you're a new board member, they're not asking your salary or what's in your bank account. They just want to know where your income is coming from, just so you can disclose any conflict of interest you may have. So this was a financial disclosure case example. It was a board member who didn't put a business interest that she and her husband had, and they found that she should have disclosed that on her disclosure form, and they found that it was an ethical violation with a recommendation of a reprimand. So you should get a copy. I did send a PDF copy of this to your superintendent, your board president, and your BA. So when you get a copy of this, you can click on some of this. You can look up all these cases. All of them are online. They're long, but if you like to read through them, you can. They're pretty interesting. So, and again, there were numerous financial disclosure statements that occurred in 2025 with varying penalties, so just make sure you get that done.
Question for you.
Sure.
Who reviews that, the financial disclosure statement?
So they're actually all publicly available. It goes to, you submit it, you should get a link from your BA, you log in, you submit it, and it goes to, I guess, the state. But yeah.
You had mentioned that you want to make sure there's no conflicts or anything. So is there something?
Yeah, so you have to. Well, if there was, I mean, anybody can look them up. So say if you have a business interest and you fail to disclose it and something comes before the board that would be a conflict with you in that business interest, like this case, it could be a violation.
Okay.
So, yeah.
But Rich, if I understand what you're
Yeah.
asking, it's that it's a public declaration versus actively reviewed.
Yeah, because it sounded like on the first pass
Right.
that there was somebody like checking it for
Right.
conflicts or something. And that doesn't seem to be the case.
Yeah, it's like it's a disclosure, so you're transparent
Okay.
about,
That makes sense.
Yeah. And they're all online. You can look any officials up. So this is the actual code of ethics. So the first one's a little bit self-explanatory, and how we have this set up is the standards for if someone were to file an ethics complaint, they have to provide factual evidence. So the standards that you would need to provide of evidence is below, and then the piece of the code is above it. So the first one is, I will uphold and enforce all laws, rules, and regulations of the State Board of Education and court orders pertaining to schools. Desired changes shall be brought about only through legal and ethical procedures. So, hold on. I will make decisions in terms of the educational welfare of children and will seek to develop and maintain public schools that meet the individual needs of all children, regardless of their ability, race, creed, sex, or social standing. And again, the standards are below that. And obviously, I think that's self-explanatory to all of you, but you have thousands of students in your school. All of them have individual needs, and you need to represent all of them and make sure that they're all being provided with a good education. I will confine my board action to policy making, planning, and appraisal, and I will help to frame policy and plans only after the board has consulted those who will be affected by them. So policy making, again, you probably have a policy vendor that you use and you work with. You get policies. You can, if you want to, customize them to fit the needs of your community, work with your attorney. You're a policy developing body and a policy making body, and you approve policies. Policies sometimes sound boring, but they're actually really, really important, because when something happens or an issue comes up in your school, the first place your administration will look are your policies. They will use those as a guide, and they are charged with implementing the policies that you approve. Planning, you probably have a strategic plan, you set goals every year, you have a long-range facilities plan that you approve your budget, you plan for finances. So that's part of your planning. And then appraisal, your most important way of appraisal is completing the superintendent evaluation every year. That's the board's main way of appraisal. So I will carry out my responsibility not to administer the schools, but together with my fellow board members to see that they are well run. If you take NJSBA trainings, you will hear over and over and over again, you don't run the schools, you see that they are well run. Your superintendent and his administrative staff runs the school district. I will recognize that authority rests with the Board of Education and will make no personal promise, nor take any private action that may compromise the board. And we'll get to examples of some of these. I will refuse to surrender my independent judgment to special interest or partisan political groups, or to use the schools for personal gain or for the gain of friends. I will hold confidential all matters pertaining to the schools, which, if disclosed, would needlessly injure individuals or the schools. In all other matters, I will provide accurate information and, in concert with my fellow board members, interpret to the staff the aspirations of the community for its school. Confidentiality is, again, something we stress all the time. It is hugely important. Any student matter that comes to the board, anything you discuss in executive session, personnel matters, all of those are confidential. Student matters are protected under federal privacy laws. Student records are highly confidential. So I know when I used to take these trainings, my old field service rep used to say, tell your cat, tell your dog, but don't tell anybody, not even your spouse and your children. And sometimes if you have teenagers or children in the school, sometimes they'll know what's going on, but you can't talk about it even to them. It's everything that you hear in executive session stays in executive session, and it's confidential. I will vote to appoint the best qualified personnel available after consideration of the recommendation of the Chief Administrative Officer, that's your superintendent. Any personnel recommendation will always come from your superintendent. I will support and protect school personnel in the proper performance of their duties. I will refer all complaints to the Chief Administrative Officer and will act on the complaints at public meetings only after failure of an administrative solution. So this is where your chain of command comes in. Often, I was a board member for a long time, so I understand often community members and people will come up to you with complaints or call you, text you with specific complaints about the school, hoping that you can help them. And the best way for you to help them is to direct them to the appropriate staff member that can help them, and to direct them to your chain of command. So if that's somebody that approaches you with an issue about their child's teacher, you'd say, well, have you talked to their teacher? Refer them back to the teacher. And then if it's not solved at that level, it can be taken up to a supervisor, to administrator, superintendent, all the way up to the board level. But you always want to direct them to the chain of command. And also tell your superintendent so he has a heads up, but direct that community member to the appropriate person that can help them solve their problem. So ethics complaint. Who can file an ethics complaint? Pretty much anybody. Any person can file a complaint with the SEC. It has to be filed within 180 days of the occurrence, and the person that files the complaint has to provide evidence and factual evidence that the violation occurred. There is a $500 fine that can be imposed for a frivolous finding. They don't find those very often, but they do have a penalty for a frivolous filing. The SEC will consider whether the facts and circumstances would lead a reasonable person to believe that the act has been violated. And another thing is, with so many meetings being recorded now, anybody inside your community or outside your community can file. So somebody could be watching your meeting, see something they feel is a violation, and file a complaint and use your recording as evidence. So these are the penalties that the SEC recommends. Reprimand, it's public in the sense that all of these decisions are publicly available online and you can look them up, but it's not a penalty that's given in public. It's basically the School Ethics Commission saying, yes, you violated the Code of Ethics, don't do it again. Censure is a little more formal. That would be a resolution that's read at a public board meeting in front of your board members. Suspension, you're barred from engaging in any activity or matter for a designated period of time, typically 30 or 60 days. And then obviously removal from the board is the most serious. So advice of counsel defense. So you might want to participate in something or think something may be a conflict and you're not sure, so you reach out to your board attorney for an opinion. And your board attorney says, sure, it's okay, go right ahead and do whatever you are doing, but then somebody files an ethics complaint and the School Ethics Commission finds that it was a violation of the Code of Ethics. So you can use the advice of counsel defense and say, hey, I was listening to the advice of the attorney and did what I was doing. They will take that into account for the penalty that they impose, but as long as it meets all of those 4 prongs that are there, but they won't take that into account for whether the code was violated or not. Because again, they don't take into account whether you knew you were violating the code or not. They look at the facts and the public perception. So these are some Code of Ethics cases. The first one, a board member told the public that their board was prepared to reduce instructional time by 40 minutes per day after the superintendent had explicitly told her numerous times that revealing the information would hurt the board's position in union negotiations. So that was found to be a violation of the Code of Ethics with a recommendation of a censure. And again, you can see the number here if you want to take this and look it up and read through it. You can do that. If it has a C in front of it, that means it's a Code of Ethics violation case, and if it has an A in front of it, that's an advisory opinion we'll get to in a little while. And then the bottom one we have on here, I think it really shows how easy it can be to inadvertently violate the Code of Ethics. So it was a board member that was involved in CPAG, which is a great organization. It's a special education parents advisory group, and used her board member email to send an email about attending the meeting. And in doing so, created an impression that her objectivity was impaired, and that was found to be a violation. So if you're involved in a volunteer group or a group outside of the school district, make sure you only use your personal email for anything outside the board that you're involved in. Use your board email only for board business and board matters. It's really important.
Kathy, just on that, because one of the conversations we're having is potentially establishing liaisons from the board to various groups within the school, like PTAs, sending district roundtables. I guess I know with the sending district roundtable, my recollection in the past was that was usually communication through some representative of the board president here to the sending districts, but that was all happening among Board of Ed emails, I think.
So if you're
Appointed as a liaison, then that's okay, because you're appointed, you're representing the board basically. So if you're a board appointed liaison, that's okay.
So even something like a PTA, if you were a board appointed liaison, using that board member email?
That was always my understanding that it was okay. I mean, you could always, if you want to be super safe, check with your attorney, but if you're appointed by your board as the liaison to the group, that's a little bit different where you're a board member, but you're also involved in this other group without being a board liaison and you're using your board email.
So if I were emailing my town council using Board of Ed email.
So someone could say, well, Brendan McIsaac is using his official board position. Yes. And again, with these cases, they really look at what the public's perception is rather than, were you, what was your intent? They look at the public's perception that your objectivity could be compromised. So these are just a couple more cases. So this one was a board member that read another board member's text message aloud at a public meeting and provided information about a school official. That was found to be a violation with a recommendation of a reprimand. And then the bottom one we have on here, because it was a 15-year board member who probably learned about the Code of Ethics or signed off on the Code of Ethics every year and got involved in a personnel issue and was found to be in violation of the Code of Ethics, and they recommended a 60-day suspension, probably because taking into account that they were a 15-year board member. So recusal versus abstention. I know there have been some questions about this. So if you abstain for something, so an example of when you would abstain, and you actually were just talking about it earlier. If you weren't at a meeting the previous month and you're voting on the minutes, you could abstain because you don't have the information. Abstain really is when you don't have the information you feel you need to vote on something. Recusal is when you have a conflict. So a conflict of interest. And in that case, you would recuse yourself from the discussion and from voting. Another question that has come up has been, do I have to tell somebody why I recused or abstained? And no, you don't have to tell. You don't have to give a reason. If you want to, I suppose you certainly can, but you don't have to. So it's up to you. And then the board council should advise on how the recusal impacts both the quorum and the recording of your votes, because there are certain things where you need a majority of the members present, certain things where you need a majority of the full board, and certain things where you need a 2/3 majority. So your BA probably has a record of those things. But yes, we always say, have your board council advise you. So relationships can cause conflicts if you have a relative working in the district. These are just some relationship definitions of immediate family member and relative. And these, having a relative, I also gave you a chart of who is considered a relative for potential conflict of interest purposes, but you should be mindful of how these can impact your conflicts within your district. So advisory opinions, so any school official, either on behalf of themselves or somebody else, or an attorney on their behalf, or if they want to get an advisory opinion on another school official, you can request an advisory opinion from the SEC. They will tell you whether what you want to do is likely to be a violation of the Code of Ethics. So they sometimes make these public if they feel that it would be a benefit to everybody else. They need 6 members if they want to vote. They need 6 votes if they want to make the opinion public, but they're all confidential. Usually the identifying information is redacted. So if there's something that you want to do and you want to get an advisory opinion, you can ask the SEC. So here's our little police officer, but if you request an advisory opinion and they give you an opinion and you do whatever they told you would likely to be was a violation anyway, and then somebody files an ethics complaint, it's likely that you would be found in violation of the Code of Ethics. So it's like, a police officer giving you a warning not to do something, but you do it anyway. You'll probably get a ticket or there'll be a consequence.
Question for you. What
Sure.
about the opposite? If you receive an advisory opinion telling you it's not an ethics violation and somebody files an ethics complaint because you went ahead and acted in accordance with that opinion, can you still be ultimately found in violation?
That's actually a good question.
Yeah, that's a good question, though. So, and they do expect that you will look at existing advisory opinions. There's a lot of them, and familiarize yourself with them. And especially if you request an advisory opinion, look at the ones that are already there and see if it might apply to your situation before requesting one. These are all the advisory, well, not all of them, this is one slide of the advisory opinions released in 2025. So we don't have to go through all of these. Again, when you get the presentation, they're all there and you could look them up. I actually do have a little summary of every single one with me. If there's any that you're interested in, you can ask me and I could give you the summary, or just reach out to me and I can talk to you about it. So the ones that I found kind of interesting, especially if you have parents on your board, the bottom one is, can a board member hire a district teacher to tutor their child? So they didn't give an opinion on that because the board member had already hired the teacher to tutor their child, but they of course had to recuse themselves from many different things that had to do with the teacher within their district. So these are more advisory opinions that were released. So again, if there's any that you would like to have more information about, just let me know and I can go over it with you.
Can you go over A1225?
Which one was that?
The first one there?
Oh, can a board member advocate for their child? Yeah, so that is an interesting one too. So that was a board member that unilaterally placed their child out of the school district. And you can advocate for your child. You retain all your rights as a parent to advocate for your child. But they found that the board member had to then recuse themselves from, I believe, anything that had to do with the director of special services, obviously anything that had to do with their child on the agenda, any special education matters on the agenda. So there were a number of things that the board member had to recuse themselves, but you do have the right to advocate for your child.
Kathy, on that note, I think this might be something where
As a parent, I'm reaching out to a teacher because I have a question. That's where I should really be using my personal email, not my board email. Yeah.
Never email a staff member from your board email unless it's, you're a chair of a committee or something and you're emailing the liaison to that particular committee, which is usually an administrative liaison, and that's okayed by your superintendent. Otherwise, don't ever email a staff member from your board email. But you can use your personal email to communicate with your child's teachers like any other parent in the school. Those, you have all of your rights as a parent to advocate for your child. Just don't go to your child's, to a conference with your child's teacher and present as a board member or say that you're a board member. Try to keep them separate as much as you can.
And what if a teacher was like, oh, aren't you on the board? Do you just say, yes, but I'm not hearing that?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. You say, that's actually a really good thing to do, to make it very clear that you're there in your parent capacity, not as a board member. And we also, we'll get to this a little later, but we usually advise if you're visiting the school for volunteering or anything else, you let your superintendent know. So benefit. So what counts as a benefit? So a definition of a benefit, it can be a direct or indirect advantage, a profit, a privilege, or a gain. And it doesn't have to be financial. It can be a personal benefit or other type of benefit. And the determinative factor, again, is the perception of the public, not the school officials' belief that they're able to be objective. So this is an example of a case here. It's a board member that spoke during their board meeting about how he was running for General Assembly, and they found he was using his position on the board to solicit support and votes for his political campaign, and so therefore he used the schools to acquire personal benefit, and there's a recommendation for a reprimand. So you can run for office as a board member. That's totally fine. You just, again, have to keep it separate. You can't use your position on the board to promote your political campaign.
And therefore couldn't also mention in your campaigning that you're on. That's like the same thing, like mentioning it at all, like in anything, in a sense.
It's like it's a fine line. You can't if you give the perception to the public that you're using your position as a board member to promote it, but you can give factual information and accurate information to the public. That's okay. And again, another area where if you're doing that, you might want to, just get attorney guidance. Yeah.
Question. I was under the impression you couldn't serve in public office and on board at the same time.
You cannot serve.
So you have
You
to
can
step
run.
down from
Yeah,
one.
you can. Yes, you can't be mayor of your town and serve on the board. You have to pick one or the other. But you can run for a township committee while being seated on the board, as long as you don't use your position on the board. So, and these are just examples of prohibited acts. So you should recuse yourself if there is a benefit to you or your immediate family, like business interest, use of your position to secure unwarranted privileges, financial involvement that may impair objectivity, service or employment that may prejudice your independent judgment, a gift favor offered with intent to influence, or financial gain. And then some other considerations are when you're on the board, your priority is the board. You can't represent any other person or party or groups to the board. Your priority is the board in the school. It's not a conflict if the gain that you have is it's not a greater gain than anybody else has. So an example I always use for this is sometimes boards approve field trips, and maybe your child's going on the field trip. It's okay to vote on that because your child isn't getting a greater gain than any other student that's going on the field trip. These are just some prohibited acts cases. So the bottom one was a respondent's child. I believe this was an interim superintendent, but he participated in labor negotiations with the union of the administrator who supervised his child. So that was found that to be a violation of the Code of Ethics with the recommendation of a censure. The other one had to do with a board member who was getting legal representation in an ethics case, and then voted to approve the payment of the law firm that was representing them. So that was found to be a violation with a recommendation of a censure. And you can go on again and read all of these. This is just a conflict and benefit case. Again, had to do with an attorney and an ethics charge. So I would encourage you to just go on and read through that. And then the bottom one is a board member that was promoting their nonprofit to parents in their community as well as staff and teachers, which was a violation. So, and this one is a longer one, but it was a board member who got involved in wanting to replace the coach of a sports team at their school and advocated for somebody that they knew to get the position, even though the position wasn't posted. So it was, again, just a board member going beyond their role and getting way too involved, and was found to be in the violation of the Code of Ethics with a recommendation of a reprimand. So, and again, this is just another case of a board member using their board position to secure business relationships with vendors for their nonprofit. It was found to be a violation with a recommendation of a censure. So we have a couple more conflict of interest cases here. You can go through and read them. So the bottom one was a little bit, it was a board member who saw something, or I guess was being contacted from by members of her community about an item on the agenda that I guess was a misunderstanding and had to do with the board member's spouse. And the board member contacted the board president and the superintendent about the agenda item, and they found that even if the board member thought it was a minor thing to contact the superintendent and board president about it, they found it was an ethics violation, and that board member should have referred all of those complaints to the superintendent. So again, even if you think it's something minor, make sure you're referring members of the public to the superintendent or the appropriate person. So hiring and personnel. You can have relatives in this that already, if they work here already, that's okay. But you may not hire the relative. A board member cannot be hired except for certain situations. If it's a very hard to find position and your superintendent gets a waiver from the executive county superintendent. But if you have a relative working in the district, it will create some areas where you may have to recuse yourself. So because you can't have direct authority over your relatives. So, and these are some impacts on committee assignments when you have a relative that works in the district. These are, the first one's an advisory opinion. It was a board president whose child is an instructional assistant, and you can see there were many things that they couldn't do. They couldn't choose the chair, committee members, or be on any committees that remotely touched upon or directly related to the family member's employment, including personnel, negotiations, instructional, and finance committees. The other one is a board member whose spouse works in the technology department, and they could not be involved in any matters that remotely touched upon or directly related to the spouse's employment, including personnel negotiations and finance committees. So the last one is a board member whose domestic partner is a transportation specialist, and the SEC advised that it would be prudent not to serve on the transportation committee. So always be mindful of conflicts that you may have. So collective bargaining, if you're entering into negotiations, this is a chart that can help you see if you can either be part of the negotiations committee or vote to ratify the contract. So for example, if you have a relative that works in the district, you cannot participate in negotiations or vote on the contract. But if you have a relative that works outside of the district, But as a member of the union, you can probably participate in you can't participate in negotiations, but you can vote on the contract or the memorandum of agreement. So this is a chart that can help you, and again, you can refer to the chart that I gave you as well. So campaigns and collective bargaining. If you received a union endorsement, it might not be a conflict per se, but if they did donate with the money to your campaign with intent to influence, you may be conflicted from negotiations for a year. Volunteering, we get a lot of questions about this because board members tend to be really active volunteers and active within their communities and their school communities, which is great. But again, when you're a volunteer, you're limited in the type of volunteering that you can do within your school district. So you can volunteer for things like if you're coaching for the township rec soccer league and you have students that you coach, that's okay because it's separate from the school. But it would probably be an issue if you were a volunteer coach for the school team because you would be providing oversight and directions to students and possibly staff. So the SEC will look at the degree of contact you have with staff and students, and you cannot direct staff or direct students because of where it's the line between board member and staff member. So other things that come up, like you can help with stats on a school play, but you probably couldn't, volunteer to be an assistant director for the school play or things like that. They'll really look at the degree of contact you have. Are you directing staff? Are you directing students? And also they'll look at the frequency which you are in the school building. So you don't want to be enmeshed in the school building or give the appearance that you're, a staff member in the school building. So. And then again, we always advise that you just let your superintendent know anytime you're volunteering in the school.
Somebody just asked me, a new board member, but they had previously, and they still hold the president of the school PTA. And so they asked me if that was, so I did a little research with school boards, but I would step down maybe at that point, don't you think, from the PTA or?
The PTA is different. The PTA is different. Like you can be a homeroom parent. The PTA is a bit different because, and I think there may have been an advisory opinion on this. If I find it, I'll send it to you. Because the PTA is separate from the school. They have their own governance, they have their own finances and budget. So usually volunteering through the PTA, or my old district was called a PI, usually that's okay because it's separate from, it's not an in-district activity. So it's not overseen, even though it's really highly affiliated with your school district, it's not overseen by the school district. The one thing that we do advise is that you don't handle money in a volunteer role. Yeah.
Thanks.
Welcome. So, and again, visiting a school, let your superintendent know when you're going to be visiting, refrain from any board discussion, and stay on point with the purpose of your visit. Again, like don't come to the school and talk about everything that went on at the board meeting and present yourself as a board member. Present yourself as a community member, a parent, a volunteer, and go and stay to the purpose of your visit.
It doesn't, does that include like it doesn't?
Yeah, I know, yeah.
You know, it's not,
Yeah, if you're there as a parent, that's totally, you're a parent first. Even if you're a board member, yeah. Yeah, of course. No, ask any question. It's totally fine because these things can be a little bit confusing sometimes. But yeah, we always say you're a parent first. So go to all of your child's sporting events, and we even encourage board members to go to sporting events and plays and things like that. We encourage you to attend those things and promote your school.
It's another sharp plug there.
Yes. Yes. So hopefully you'll see all the board members at your play. So social media is very tricky. So you have freedom of speech as a board member. You do not give up your right to freedom of speech just because you're on the board. But the School Ethics Commission will look at the content of your post, and the issues come when it gives the impression that you are posting as a board member speaking for your entire board or posting in your official board capacity. So that's why we say, is there a nexus between the post and your role and membership on the board? So they do suggest that you use a disclaimer before you post things. The disclaimer is not 100%. If you use the disclaimer and then post something about a staff member, the disclaimer is unlikely to protect you. And there have been ethical violations found even when people use the disclaimer. So this is an example of someone that used, I believe, part of the disclaimer, and they endorsed board candidates and advocated against a candidate. And the disclaimer only indicated the opinions were his own and did not include that the views were not representative of the board, creating the appearance the entire board endorsed certain candidates. So especially if you're posting something and you use we, and it's about the board or the school district and you say we, be careful with that, because it could give the impression that the we is your board and that you're speaking for the board. They'll look at things like that. So, and even that goes for, we just had our new board member training weekend, and the attorney that was giving the ethics presentation there said, even on your personal page, like, nothing's really private. Be a little bit cynical. Someone could, even if you don't think so, someone could take a screenshot of whatever you post and send it around. So just always be cautious about social media. Remember that you have your freedom of speech rights, but be cautious and be mindful of the ways that social media and the code of ethics tie into each other. There was just if you get the daily clips, NJSB, the daily clips, it was a couple of weeks ago, but there was an article in the Daily Clips from Spotlight News about freedom of speech and the code of ethics. So I encourage you to go on and read that. These are just some social media cases that went before the School Ethics Commission. So, and the bottom one is, like I was just saying, that a board member that used we to discuss board matters. And they found that the posts were beyond the scope of her duties and had the potential to compromise the board. And it was about school campaigns and endorsing candidates for school elections. The top one was a board member who made comments, I think it had to do with instruction materials or books, but they found that even though the board was not currently engaged in deliberations regarding the removal or approval of history books from the school curriculum or school library at the time of the respondent's post, the board had the power and authority to review and remove books from the school library, as well as to decide which books should be included in or are appropriate for the school curriculum. So they did find that to be, those posts that they posted, to be a violation of the code of ethics, and they recommended a reprimand. But again, I'd encourage you to go on and read all of these. So this is important information to keep in mind. So texting. A lot of people have their phones out. It's common. I see it all the time. When I was a board member, I used to keep my phone, out in case my daughter needed me for something or one of my kids needed me. But if you are texting from the board table and somebody sees it, it could result in someone filing an Oprah request for your texts. You may be just texting your spouse to see if they fed the dog or who won the sports game, or it could be something completely unrelated to the board, but that's just something to be very mindful of. If you have your phone out at the board table, be careful about texting, because somebody may think you're texting to another board member across the table about board business and file an Oprah request for your phone records. So any ethics complaint needs to show a nexus between the action or the information sharing and your role as a board member. We talked about parent issues earlier, but you are your child's advocate first or foremost. You are a parent first. You retain all of your rights as a parent to advocate for your own child. You can take it all the way. If you're a parent, you can take it through the chain of command up to the board, up to the DOE if you want to. As a parent, you just can't bring your role as a board into it. But always be your child's advocate first and foremost. And remember, when you're meeting with staff or talking to staff, and always make sure that you're there as a parent. Don't go in and announce that you're a board member if you're having a conference with your child's teacher. Refrain, if you had a campaign social media page, a lot of people do, that's okay, but we do advise that you refrain from using it once you become a board member, because it will inevitably be viewed as posting on behalf of the board or in your official capacity or speaking for the board, and could create an issue. Also, if you administer a social media page, you could be linked to the content that's posted on that page. There's a case about that there
Outside
too.
school-related topics, correct?
So if you like are the administrator of like a township page or something,
okay.
I guess they found
But
that.
not like a business page, like, you know, or something like that.
I think they're talking about like a
Official
community page or something where people are posting about topics that are going on in your town, things like that.
Just ask them this question.
Yeah, I know.
Clarify this.
I know, there's a lot to think about with all of this. So these are resources. So the relative chart that you have as a handout is posted online. You can look at it. There's a link here. The School Ethics Act, there's a link to that. All of the School Ethics Commission decisions for like years are posted online. You can go on and read them. Advisory opinions, had a request one is there, and the School Ethics Commission website is there as well. So, and lastly, thank you so much for everything that you do for your community. I know I probably just told you a lot of things that you can't do or scared you from doing things, but really you can do a lot. You just have to do it together in a certain way and follow your ethical obligations. But there are a lot of really beneficial things that you can do for your students, and I see the amazing things that you're doing at your school. And I thank all of you for supporting that. All of you were part of all those amazing things for your support for your school and the students here. So thank you. And that's it for ethics. But now I know you wanted to talk a little bit about Robert's Rules.
Just that I know you shared some resources, so a couple of highlights there, and I think we have these materials as well.
So, I'm sorry.
Just like a brief few highlights of Robert's Rules.
Yeah.
And you gave us the
Yes.
booklet and the cheat sheet.
Yes. So that's, I would
Recommend keeping in the very back of that booklet that I gave you, there's a really helpful chart about motions, which motions need a second. Keep that with you and reference it at your board meeting. So your board follows Robert's Rules. You follow it because it's in your bylaws. So at some point your board decided, hey, we're going to follow Robert's Rules, and you voted that as part of your bylaws. Robert's Rules, it's really meant to run efficient meetings so that all voices are heard. It's called Robert's Rules. There are many rules to it. I don't know all of them. You are not expected to know all of them. Brendan is not expected to know all of them. The people that know all of them, or most of them, they study this, they take an exam, and they become parliamentarians. So I don't think any of you are parliamentarians, but yeah, if you want to see a parliamentarian and parliamentary procedure strictly followed in action, watch the delegate assembly or attend. Hopefully you're sending a voting delegate, but if you're not the voting delegate or not attending, you can watch it online. It's really interesting. You'll see a lot about parliamentary procedure and Robert's Rules, but it provides a fair way of decision making. It's transparent for your public. It allows the minority voice to be heard. And that's really important, because some of these issues that you deal with in schools, they're emotional. They affect children, maybe even are affecting your own child. They can get emotional. And you may already know that you're going to be on the, I don't want to say losing, but on the side of the vote that doesn't pass, or you're on one side of the vote and the majority is on the other side. Robert's Rules protects your opinion. So all of your voices are valuable and deserve to be heard, because you're an elected member of the board and you're representing your community. So all of your voices should be heard. And it really gives a way so that all those voices can be heard, and then you take a vote and you move on. So you don't need to know all of Robert's Rules. You can read through that booklet there. I gave you a cheat sheet, but basically I'll give you the highlights. It's the flow of the meeting. You make a motion, you have a second, your chair states the motion, you have a discussion or debate, a vote, and then you announce the result. And really, I wrote down like 6 things that your school boards probably use the most, which the first one's obviously your main motion. So somebody makes a motion for something that you want to do. Where I see a lot of confusion is when you're talking about a motion. So you bring a motion, somebody seconds the motion. The second to the motion does not mean that you agree with the motion entirely or are planning on voting for the motion, it means that you think that the motion is worthy of a board discussion. That's what a second means. So most motions need a motion and a second. You're discussing it. Someone says, hey, I want to amend the motion. That person can make a motion to amend the motion. Somebody would second that. And then the conversation moves to the amendment of the motion. If you get, and this, I'm just bringing this up because I see sometimes this gets a little bit confusing. So the motion would move, you would talk about amending the motion, vote on that, and then you would go back to the main motion. Point of order, that's to correct a procedural error. It doesn't require a second. Your chair, Brendan, would rule on that. Point of information is to request clarification. Call to question, this one, if you are going, your debate is going on and it gets repetitive, somebody can vote or make a motion, or someone can call the question, and that kind of ends the debate and moves to a vote. But it does require a second, and it requires a 2/3 majority, and we recommend that you use it sparingly because it really does kind of end the discussion and then you move to a vote. And then postpone to a time certain. That's if you know what, we need to vote on this at the next board meeting, you can postpone it to a time certain. So those are like a highlight of a lot of the motions that your boards may use. There are obviously a lot of them. They're all on your thing. Do you have any questions about any of it that you wanted to address in particular?
Not specifically. I think that was a
Good sort of overview of some of the more common ones that are, but does anybody else have any other clarifying
A motion that's
questions?
tabled stays tabled until it's brought back off the table?
So a motion, if you table a motion, it will stay tabled. If it stays tabled through that meeting, then it'll be done at the end of that meeting. So that's why there's like this motion postponed to a time. If you want to move the motion to the next meeting, you don't want to table it. There's like I see confusion about that sometimes too. Tabling the motion is for that meeting, like something else comes up, like let's talk about this first, let's table this, talk about this other topic that's more pressing first, and then we'll address what we tabled before the end of the meeting. So otherwise, it kind of like, it dies. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's a good question because I remember I was confused about a lot of these things myself when I was a board member, and I've learned more about it over the years. But some boards follow Robert rules really, really strictly. It helps you in a contentious meeting. I came from a small town board, and we followed parliamentary procedure kind of casually and loosely because that's what worked for our board. You have to do what works best for your board, as individuals and what issues are coming before your board. But Robert's rules will help you through like contentious meetings by making sure all the voices are heard. You're voting in an orderly fashion. You're presenting to your public like, yeah, we don't agree on these things, but we're following this process to get to our outcomes.
Any other questions or clarifications?
Yeah.
Bill?
In addition to those very helpful comments and that wonderful presentation, the board and the community should be aware that, number one, the law says, and commissioners' decisions say, that Robert's rules can certainly be adopted by any Board of Education. Robert's rules cannot be used to circumvent an otherwise statutory requirement of the board. So while Robert's rules is more procedural, it may not be used to interfere with a board member's substantive rights. And with regard to the contentious board issues that you so articulately brought forward, I would urge board members to look at that section of Robert's rules which specifies decorum, because the rules set forth in that section give both the officers of the board and board members a really good sense of how best to disagree amongst the board, and to guarantee that minority viewpoints on the board can also be heard.
Absolutely, those are great points. Thank you. So and again, to your
Point too, when you're talking about issues, you really shouldn't be directing them, say what you feel and make your points about the issue, ask your questions. That's totally fine, but you should really be directing it kind of to the chair, not really towards each other. That's important too. It's not a time for personal attacks. Like, everybody can be heard, but don't personally attack each other. So, any other questions?
Thank you once again.
All right,
Thank you for the
Thank
resources.
you,
So
Kathy.
yes, thank you. And lastly, I did want
I know I see it on your agenda, but I wanted to mention it too before I leave. It's January School Board Recognition Month, so thank you for all that you do, and it really does make a difference to your students in your school, and we are just so appreciative that you're willing to serve as board members. If you need me, I'm available to any of you. Any of you can reach out. We support all board members, superintendents, BAs, board presidents, so we keep things confidential. If somebody calls me or talks to me, I don't run to Brendan or Tara and say, well, this person said this. If your superintendent calls me at the same thing, I don't run to board members and say, well, your superintendent said this, your BA said that. So we keep things confidential. We want to support your board be successful because, again, that's what's good for the students at your school, and that really supports our mission. So thank you for having me. Have a great meeting. Any questions, follow-up questions, or things that you get home and you say, oh, I should have asked this, just reach out to me, call me, email me. So thank you.
Thank you. And Max and Sam, I want to apologize. I really should have offered you the opportunity to depart. But please, in all meetings going forward, I understand you have busy lives. So we thank you for what you're doing here, but we recognize that as you need to step away, please do at your own discretion.
Thank you so
Have a good
much.
night.
Thank
Bye.
All right, so we're going to shift to our Chief School Administrator's Report.
Thank you, Brendan. So I want to talk about all the good news first. Well, I guess not all the good news, but I did want to mention, due to the winter storm that we had this weekend, today's schedule was adjusted. I think most people know that. But we were originally scheduled for a half day of professional development today, including an in-service with wellness activities such as massage therapy and yoga for our staff members. Those activities had to be canceled because we needed to call a delay this morning, and we can't have a delay on having early dismissal because we don't have enough time in school. So the snow really messed up a few things for us, but we're going to reschedule all those activities for our staff at a later date. We also adjusted the semester date. Today was supposed to be the last day of the first semester. We sent a notice out on Friday. Tomorrow will now be the last day of the first semester. That gives us our semester classes enough time to have final exams. And so that was important for all the teachers. Make sure they saw their kids one last time because we were off on Monday. I do want to mention Coach Kyle Rehrig, who Sam actually already mentioned, but he does host a teacher recognition event every year, and I did want to recognize the teachers that were recognized there. So we actually had 6 seniors. Each student was supposed to pick a teacher. 2 of the students chose Miss Meister. So so we only had 5 staff members that were recognized because 2 students chose Miss Meister. But the other teachers that were recognized were Mrs. Stell, Mrs. Lewick, Mrs. Fortugno, and Mr. Yoakum. And it was a great little event where they had it. I was going to pop over to it and then come back here, but we had a board meeting last week and it didn't work out to have all of it happen at the same time. But we thank Coach Rehrig for doing that every year. I think it's important to the teachers. It's great for the kids to have an opportunity to recognize teachers that they appreciate throughout the year. We did have the 8th graders come up from all the sending districts in both of our schools. The only thing I want to add to, again, what Max shared was that they had assistant principals who spoke to them about not only academic areas, but also about athletics, clubs, activities, and those activities included Polytech, so what their options are now as 8th graders moving into 9th grade year. With the full-time program on the North Campus, there's other opportunities they have that they didn't have in the past. But athletics and clubs and activities, I know that's something this board has talked about in the past, and we really do stress all the, we stress for the students to get involved in something. There's a lot of things they can be involved in, and it's really important for their growth as a high school student to be involved beyond the classroom. So. Again, Sam mentioned the Voorhees UN delegation. The entire delegation received an outstanding delegation designation, so congratulations to them on their outing at Hershey. I did want to congratulate Voorhees High School student Matteo Tramatullo, who was named as the Broden's Baller Top 100 NJ Football Players of 2025. For those of you who are at the Milk Can game, Mateo is quite a player, and so that's a well-deserved recognition. Voorhees High School continues to demonstrate their excellence in mathematics. They earned a top spot in Hunterdon County following the New Jersey Mathematics League, contest number 3. As a result of the team's strong showing in contest number 3, they've also made an impressive climb in cumulative statewide standings, and they now rank 13th in the state of New Jersey. So we wish them luck in, I believe there is 5 or 6 competitions altogether, so they're about a little more than halfway through. I did want to congratulate Coach Chase Barbieri. He was named the Boys Soccer Coach of the Year by Lehigh Valley Live. And if you know, the boys soccer program at Voorhees had a great year this year, and Coach Barbieri is a big part of that, and it's great to have him recognized. I also wanted to recognize Coach Kevin Schaefer, who reached 100 wins as a Voorhees High School basketball coach. I also wanted to mention, Sam mentioned this, but he is only the second coach in history of that program to reach 100 wins in Voorhees. So that's a pretty big accomplishment for Coach Schaefer. And then I also wanted to congratulate Phoebe Lingerfield of North Hunterdon. She was recognized by the Clinton Sunrise Rotary for the Exceptional Leadership Award. I think they do one of those a semester, and so she was the representative for the first semester and was recognized at Sunrise Rotary. And so congratulations to Phoebe. She works a lot with our Interact Club and a lot with the Unified program. So great ways to participate in our school. And then the girls and boys swim team, I think Max had mentioned a little bit about this, but I'm going to mention the actual students' names. Voorhees High School student Mia Lake placed first overall in the 100 individual medley and the 100 breaststroke. Mia also qualified for the Meet of Champions meet at the end of February for the 100 breaststroke. And Elizabeth Rajewski placed 4th overall in the 100 butterfly and 6th overall in the 100 breaststroke. And Brody Keith placed 11th overall in the 100 butterfly. And so congratulations to all those students at Voorhees. North also had a great year for swimming so far. They won the Hunterdon and Warren Sussex tournament and also made it to the Meet of Champions. And awesome job to Savannah Pittenger, Kaylee Smith, Alyssa Giovannis, Phoebe Rodriguez, Mina Cohn, and Sasha Farish. They were all the team members that participated and earned that honor. So I did want to mention 2 other things off my report about I sent all the board members a Google form to ask about a building tour. I received 3 responses so far, so if you responded, thank you. If you didn't, try to get that to me if you can by the end of the week. Meryl, I will make sure you get that today and then or tomorrow, and make sure you're included in that as well if you want to participate. But and then I'll try setting those up probably for end of February, beginning of March. I'll get away from some of the weather so we don't have to set something up and then reschedule again. Unless somebody needs something more urgent, let me know, but that's the time frame I'm going to look at. And I also sent something out about our Notebook LM AI tool. And I was going to demonstrate tonight. We have a lot going on, so I didn't want to do another demonstration on the screen. I can do that at a future meeting if the board feels it would be beneficial. But play with that tool. If you have any issues accessing it, please let me know, and we'll get you some assistance. And I think it's just a great tool to look at a ton of documents and get summary information. And that's really what the goal of it is for, is to get you as educated as possible, as quickly as possible. So.
And I think we sort of recognized there was an opportunity here in the spirit of onboarding that there is voluminous information. And I did play with it a little bit, ask it questions, even the sorts of things that came up tonight about whether it's procedural things. Obviously, the documents are all there, so you can kind of go, it will reference the source document that it is responding to. But I think it could potentially be a nice asset. When you have a question, you can type it in, you can actually play a little podcast and listen to like a half an hour. You can actually interrupt the podcast and ask it a question, and it will answer the question based on the materials that are there. Some of the Robert's Rules of Order things I was trying out just to see how it would do, so I encourage everyone to play with it a little bit.
And the questions you ask in the chat, they don't get saved so anybody can see it. So you can feel free to ask anything you want of those documents, and it's really for your purposes. If there is something someone feels is an important enough topic, I can create the chat or ask for a response, and then I can post it to the notes section, which we did one over there that you'll see, and that way everybody would have access to it. But just so you know, it's not like you do something and everyone else is seeing what you're typing in there and asking. So. Okay, I did want to go over quickly strategic planning and give you a little update. We did meet with the Strategic Planning Advisory Committee on January 13th. We met at Voorhees High School again. We talked about some different topics. The first one, we had one of our members that brought to our attention a PD that they attended. The PD was titled The Whole Teacher, and it really focused on 6 pillars of emotional safety, continuous learning, healthy workload, decision-making, or being a decision maker, being a valued educator, and in positive relationships. And it really fit in very well with our district goal number 1, which talks about increasing staff satisfaction with school climate, because a lot of these topics were things of making sure that teachers feel like they are part of the process, part of the school community, and part of the decision-making process. So it was a great discussion that we had, and really helped us really focus on that district goal number 1 for school climate. We also had a presentation on the AI Resource Library that Rich Brown did. And again, that's directly correlated to our District Goal 2, which calls for the development of a future-ready learning network or framework and increased use of AI tools. And so basically this is an AI resource library. I think I mentioned it in one of my updates, but it's for teachers to be able to submit resources and then other teachers to be able to use those resources. And then we also talked about the staff newsletter that went out. We did one in December. We're going to do another one at the end of the year. We're going to try to do this twice a year, and then if we can, we might, increase the frequency of that. But we're going to try to at least get 2 out a year, and that really focuses on our multi-platform communication strategy, which is district goal number 4. And the staff members were actually very appreciative of the fact that we asked them for some accomplishments they did, and then we're sharing it with all their colleagues if they felt like it brought together a sense of togetherness for them as a team. And then finally, we did not discuss it at our meeting, but the financial transparency that's mentioned in our district goal number 3, I think everyone can appreciate last month, what Katie has put together with a multi-presentation series, this month being on expenditures, next month on revenues, and then we'll have the full budget presentation in March. We're trying to make sure that we're giving as much information as we can before that important vote so that everybody is well informed when we do that. So I just wanted to mention that because that does go towards our district goal as well. Any questions on any of that? Then I will, we do have a report on our harassment, intimidation, and bullying. So this month we had 3 cases brought to us, 2 at Voorhees, 1 at North, and all 3 of them were unfounded. So there won't be anything for you to affirm next week, but there is a call for a motion and second to affirm. And I'll let Brendan take that one over.
Okay. So this is a call for a motion and second to affirm the determinations on the HIB incidents reported at the December 16th, 2025 board meeting. So I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Motion, second, Nicole. And then just again, by way of clarification, folks not on the board in December, are they procedurally okay to vote on this, or is there a reason to?
I think we talked about that last week, that they
Yeah, the
were
information was
procedurally
there,
okay.
so
Procedurally
They have access to the information that all the
Gotcha.
existing board members have
Okay.
as well. So even though it happened then,
Right,
we're voting on it now.
affirming now. Okay. Any questions or clarifications? All in favor? Aye. Nays or abstentions?
Abstain, I didn't see the information.
Right.
Yeah, that
Okay.
makes sense.
Okay.
And then the monthly reports are there for you. I tried to review those last month. This committee as a whole having the 2 meetings per month, I'm going to try to limit so that I don't repeat stuff over and over again. So if there's any questions about the monthly reports, let me know.
All right. Then as far as my report,
I just got a question.
Oh.
So is there a summary or an update that you did provide regarding the email you received for the wrestling team?
Do you want me to address that now? Or?
yeah, I didn't know if there was going to be folks in coming to the microphone.
Right.
So one of the things, we did receive some correspondence regarding a question about the wrestling team and the competition in Atlantic City. It's currently it's a work in progress conversation. I know Dr. Burjaj was speaking with some of the folks today. So that conversation is actually underway. A couple of questions that I think came to the fore that the district is looking into is one, the permissibility in which districts can pay for that. There seem to be some potentially different opinions about whether it's permissible for districts to pay, and if so, to what degree and what sorts of elements can be paid. That's something we'll continue to look into as we kind of get all of the information. Additionally, it potentially opens up other questions where the district may or may not support and or pay for student activities. So that will be sort of a follow-on question to that. I don't know if that's kind of procedurally where we are at the moment.
I guess my question is, has the district paid for it in the past? I honestly don't know.
Yes.
Okay, and what changed, if any? Or something did, obviously.
Again, that's a discussion I'm gonna have with the parents. As soon as I have something to recommend to the board, I'll bring it to your attention.
So there's been no determination either way? Like if the-
Yeah, there's no
Correct,
action.
at present. Anything else? Okay. January School Board Recognition Month, as was shared with us by Kathy before. Can I get a call for a motion and second to adopt Resolution 012726-3? Can I get a motion to recognize our work? All right, I think Rich Morgan might have had it first, Dan the second. Questions, clarifications? This is us recognizing the work that we do. Exactly, reach over, out on the back.
Take your lift.
Let's watch it as recognizing the others.
That's true, that's true. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Or abstentions? No? All right, regarding our board representative and delegate position, Stephen did say that he was willing to step up to be a representative on the delegate assembly, so thank you for that. And I know Tara's already, I believe, in communication with you about dates. And then, as Kathy shared procedurally, that will be a good thing for you to experience and sort of as we potentially have things to submit for school boards to consider going forward.
Yep, and you'll be the voting delegate, but anybody else can attend the delegate assembly if you want to. You just can't vote, but you can participate. And, I'd say at least once in your tenure on the school board, it's worth going down to Mercer County Community College and, getting involved. It's just exciting since it's school board recognition, meeting up with all of the other delegates from the whole state, from Cape May all the way up to, Bergen County. It's great, so thanks for stepping up.
My pleasure. Thanks, Stephen.
Separately is my school board conference report, which I went over at our last meeting last week. And once again, a reminder that if you're interested in attending the Unsung Heroes Award ceremony, that our SVP needs to be in by February 4th.
Do we have, I'm just questioning because they've
Each school has
submitted
put
them.
us two.
Okay, we were
Thank
there.
you.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a great one. It's down at Chase School down in Flemington, and it's a fun night. And it's great to, it's fifth grade, some have 5th through 8th grades in the high schools. But the ASA has donated $500, so we're doing 2 scholarships for a high school unsung hero, and then one from the 5th, 6th grade to 8th graders will be chosen randomly. So it should be a great night.
And then we just have our dates for our next working session, February 17th, and our regular board meeting action session, February 24th. Before we shift to public comment, I do just want a second before your commendation of Mr. Rehrig. It's just when I was actually on the board at CPS over a decade ago, I got to know Mr. Rehrig there, and I have always known him to be just a champion of school spirit. And so to hear that he's continuing that work is great to hear.
He was coaching here then, and we were fortunate to recruit him here as a teacher and a coach now too. So.
We now have our opportunity for public comment. During this portion of the meeting, the public is invited to address the Board of Education with comments. You are requested to sign the register provided and to state your name, municipality of residence, group affiliation, if applicable, and direct your comments to the school board president. While all comments will be considered by the Board of Education and a response may be forthcoming if and when appropriate, individual school board members may not respond to the speakers at the time of their appearance. The public comment will be a maximum of 30 minutes in length unless there are unusual circumstances. You'll be allocated 3 minutes to speak, and no one will be permitted to speak more than once on the same topic until all others who wish to speak on that topic have been heard. Please keep your comments respectful and non-defamatory, and maintain the level of decorum appropriate for a public meeting where students may be present and in the audience. So I'd like to open the floor to public comment at this time. If there's any folks who would like to come forward, yes, please do. Thank you.
Hi, I'm here tonight to address the school board about providing room and board for our wrestlers at the state tournament. My name is Rick Frondorf. I reside in Broadheadsville, Pennsylvania. It's about 55 miles from here. But because I've been involved with the school for a long, long time, I found this to be a very important topic. I've coached wrestling for over 20 years at the youth, high school, and the college levels. I am a two-time high school All-American coach. I'm also the proud father of Ricky Frondorf. Ricky was a 4-time state place winner and a 2-time champion for North Hunterdon High School. He's been a North Hunterdon High School, he's been a North youth coach for 18 years. He wanted to be here tonight, but he couldn't be here because he had to coach the kids. He wanted me to tell you that the most important thing he thought was that you work your whole life for this opportunity to go to the state tournament. And it is really important to have the rest and recovery time that is necessary. I'd like to speak a little bit about North Hunterdon. Your proficiency levels in English are 72.6%, math 52.5%. For that, you receive blue ribbon status. My son Ricky went to states all 4 years. His wrestling proficiency level was 97%. Most that qualify for states are 85% proficiency or higher. Wrestling teaches you to strive for excellence. If you're only 52% proficient, like the average math student at North Hunterdon, you don't qualify for the states. Every year, North wrestlers qualify for states. North Hunterdon is one of the wealthiest communities in the state of New Jersey. Most of you board members could probably be considered wealthy. I don't expect you to understand what it is like not to be able to afford a room in Atlantic City. Many of our wrestlers' parents can't afford a room in Atlantic City. It's a fact that we have a wrestling shoe program. We hand up slightly used wrestling shoes to those in need. I was a parent that could not afford a room in Atlantic City. I drove back and forth every day. Thankfully, North Hunterdon provided a room for my son. He was able to get the physical therapy, the rest for recovery, a good diet, and the ability to check his weight before weigh-ins. My son's success at the States helped him to earn a 4-year full scholarship to Lock Haven University. I could not afford college tuition. Most parents are not bold enough to tell you that they need help for their child to achieve success. Many of our wrestlers earn scholarships. Many would never be able to attend good colleges without their success at the New Jersey State Tournament. Our wrestlers learn that hard work and dedication are needed for success on and off the mat. We are proud to provide the coaching and tools to achieve that. Our team records of being the state champs and individual records of success at the state tournament are outstanding. Many of our athletes attend schools like Lock Haven, Clarion, Rutgers, Lehigh, and Cornell. Many of them have received financial aid and scholarships to make it possible, all because they had the tools to succeed. You can decide if North Hunterdon is known as the school that gave their student athletes the tools for success, or you can be known as the school that denied your athletes, the tools for success. The decision's yours. Choose success or failure. I hope you'll make the right decision, and thanks for your time.
Good evening. My name is Michael Raley, and I'm a resident of Franklin Township. I'm a parent of a junior at North Hunterdon High School who is a member of the wrestling team, as well as a parent of a North Hunterdon graduate who is currently wrestling at the collegiate level. I would like to begin by acknowledging the strong and positive relationship between North Hunterdon High School and the wrestling community. The administration, teachers, coaches, and staff have consistently shown their support for the wrestling program, and that support is greatly appreciated by our community. I'm here this evening to ask the board to reconsider its position regarding covering expenses incurred by North Hunterdon High School wrestlers and coaches while competing in this year's NJSIA High School Wrestling State Championships in Atlantic City this March. Historically, these expenses have been covered by the district. It appears that a decision on this matter was made some time ago. However, this decision was not effectively communicated to all parties who should have been informed. Consequently, families and supporters were unaware that these costs would need to be covered privately. There are insufficient booster funds to cover this year's expenses. The use of buses was initially discussed as a possible alternative to a hotel stay. After further consideration of the tournament's requirements, it's my understanding that this option is no longer being considered by the school. This is a prudent decision, as the use of buses would present a number of logistical and practical challenges. I appreciate that the athletic department has reserved hotel rooms in Atlantic City for wrestlers and coaches. This is an important step. The NJSIAA State Championships are a unique NJSIA sanctioned sporting event and should not be equated with other overnight trips for other student clubs or activities, particularly those that are not sanctioned by NJSIAA. I respectfully ask the board to reconsider its position and improve funding for lodging and expenses for wrestlers and coaches participating in this year's state tournament, as well as for future tournaments. I look forward to a positive outcome being communicated at Friday's board meeting, or February's board meeting. Thank you for your time and consideration.
My name is Carrie Akers. I live in Annandale, New Jersey. Good evening. I'm here to also speak on the potential of the athletes not having rooms comped in Atlantic City for the tournament. My family has been involved with North Hunterdon Wrestling since 2009. All 4 of my kids have gone through the feeder program. 2 of my sons wrestled for the high school team. One of my sons is a 3-time state qualifier and 2-time state medalist. He was also part of the 2020 team that had the undefeated season and a state team championship. I'm glad to hear that the part of my speech about busing them back and forth is a moot point, because that I've found was just atrocious as a concept, because there's so many variables that are not controllable, and once they can't get into weigh-ins, their dream is done. They're disqualified, they can't go any further. So I'm glad that that's off the table. Just to point out, New Jersey is well known throughout the country as one of the toughest state championships in the U.S. Many college coaches come to watch potential recruits. College scholarships can be had with a good weekend at states. My own son's recruitment started with his first medal, and he went on to wrestle at the D2 level in college. Other comparable teams locally afford their athletes and coaches lodging during this tournament. It makes sense to be able to control as many variables as possible regarding the tournament and promote optimal rest, recovery, and nutrition while staying on target to wrestle. Having them on site is how that happens. And while there are people that perhaps can afford it, it's not cheap to be living in AC for 3 days, 3 nights. And it would be even more inexpensive if this had been something that we had done earlier in the year. So bottom line, please consider funding this. It's been funded for as long as I've been involved with the program, and it should be funded for future. Or give the people in charge enough time to know so that they can fundraise, because I've also been involved with varsity cheerleading at the high school. I've had 4 kids go through. My youngest is a senior. Cheerleading fundraised for everything for nationals. We paid for it ourselves, but we had the time to do it. And I think it's kind of a shame that we're scrambling at this point to try to cover this stuff for these kids, because it's hard. It's a long road, and they deserve everything they get. Thank you.
Any additional public comment? So as I had mentioned at the beginning, this is an ongoing conversation. Dr. Burgess is in conversation with folks and will ultimately follow up with the board, sort of briefing us on all of the details, logistics, and potential scenarios going forward, whatever they may be. But thank you for coming tonight.
Brendan, when is determined?
It's in February.
March.
Oh, I thought it was like February. Okay. We shift now to our other agenda items. Last week we had our curriculum instruction technology presentation. Asking for a call for a motion and a second to approve agenda item 12.1 on home instruction. Dan, motion, second?
Second.
Second, Tara, thank you. Questions or clarifications? All in favor? Aye. And then abstentions or, thank you. I'm sorry, was there a second?
Rich was absent for the vote.
Oh, okay, yes. Well, he was not in attendance, so I don't know if he, I guess we'll have to see if he's going to, okay, proceed and then get when he comes back, okay. The second, so on to policy and school security. Can I get a call for a motion and a second to approve agenda item 13.1? If you recall, this is our first reading of the Freedom to Read policy, which we were putting onto the agenda because it was something to have been addressed in December, but we got the policy language late and was provided to folks last week. So can I get a motion to open that motion and a second? Dan, thank you. Discussion, questions, clarifications?
Can you clarify the process of, this is a first reading, so then now what does that mean and what does a second reading look like, or what are the next steps?
So first reading is we're seeing the language for the first time. There's the opportunity to have discussion here, to talk about details. Sometimes it's, if there's changes that we're looking to see, they might be proposed here. If there's clarifications that might be sought, it gives administration the time to answer questions or get additional information, and then it would become effective policy upon the second read and approval, so next month.
But if there were no questions or changes to be made, then the second reading would be the first reading, the same information as the first reading, and then you'd vote on a second reading still at the next time, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It would be, yes, you would vote on it a second time, and if that vote passes, it is then
Then it's
policy.
policy, right?
Yes. Phil?
In addition to giving an opportunity for board members to contemplate and deliberate, share ideas, and ask questions if they have any, it's also an opportunity for our community, people who may be affected by those policies, to have input into the board between first and second reading. So, that's all.
And if we make changes in the first reading, it's still, those changes would be presented to us before our next meeting. At second reading, we have to approve them with their changes. There's no further discussions at that point. We don't make any further. It's not like it goes back to first reading if we make changes tonight.
If we make changes tonight, I think the second reading becomes sort of the final draft reading at that point. That becomes the vote.
Which is the purpose of the first reading.
First, it gives you the opportunity to draft and amend and make changes.
So, yeah, if changes are brought to you as a second reading, that's what you'd be voting on at that point. And that's generally agreed upon with the full board, that these are changes that everyone supports.
And I just want to make a point too, that this is something that we need to become in compliance with
Correct.
state law.
Correct.
Yeah, the state law was that this needed to be adopted by boards by December 9th of 2025.
Right. But we didn't get it.
But you
we
didn't
didn't
get
get
the-
it.
We got the
Right.
policy
Yeah, we
language at
didn't
the
get
end
it.
of
We're out of
December.
compliance either technically, but just not up to date,
Correct.
Right.
just to clarify.
Again, this was a model policy that was presented to us from New Jersey School Board Association based on the Freedom to Read Act, and they basically came up with the language based on the Freedom to Read Act so that they would give us a model policy, and that's what we presented to you tonight.
So questions, clarifications, proposals? Rich?
I mean, I wasn't on the board at the time, but I don't know how the people that were on the board feel. 1 year for a subsequent challenge feels like a quick turnaround for me.
If I can clarify that, so the law required a minimum of 1 year.
Right.
So the board could decide that they wanted a longer term.
1 year feels fast. I did witness some of those meetings, and it did seem like they dragged on for months to turn around possibly 8 or 9 months later and have a subsequent challenge of the same book. I can't see what would have changed over those 8 or 9 months that it would be.
Well, I think Nicole had her hand
I
and then
just had a
Andrew.
question, a clarifying question. How long do book challenges typically take?
Well,
I guess I'm trying to think in terms of the,
I know that we had quite the
Yeah.
yeah.
Months.
book, yeah, but in general, for school boards, how long does that typically take?
Well, the policy itself sort of procedurally outlines the amount of time that the administration has to organize a review committee, and it sort of sets a timeframe for that committee to do its work at that time. I know the prior book challenges we had, and I don't remember the particulars of why they may have gone for as long as they did, but it was obviously a series of months. Some of that, I think, was logistics in getting the committee together, preparing the report, getting the things to the board, and then giving the board the time to sort of receive and digest, and then ultimately have a discussion on
Hey,
that.
Brendan, can I just add?
Sure.
I do remember from that time, so one of the things that happened was assembling that group to review it was problematic, getting people to volunteer to fill each of the different positions. We couldn't find someone
And they're all required.
And they're all required, so
For our
it took
policy.
time to actually assemble that, to get someone to volunteer, so that's why it kind of dragged on initially, before they started their review process.
And
So I think my extension of that is, this 1 year window, is it from when it was initially filed or from when the decision was made? And then
I think it
second.
was from when it was originally filed.
Oh, so it
So
could be
file to
a
file.
couple months.
Yeah.
So that would be prohibitive, I think. And then let's say it is challenged again, let me back up. If it's challenged and the challenge is denied and it's ruled appropriate, is that decision based on the very specific piece that is challenged or the entire work?
it's the work. It's always
So
the work
then-
that gets voted on.
Okay, then I think a year is definitely too short. Anyway.
Right, in other words, you don't challenge a portion of a book, you challenge it in its entirety.
Right.
And then it would potentially come up again. Brian, did you have a point as well?
It's not on this topic.
Oh, okay.
I think you're looking at least 3 months. There's no way you could do this faster than 3 months, I think. That would be very efficient.
And that would be if I
From filing to decision.
Nicole?
So
Nicole,
essentially,
then Dan?
we would have from the completion.
If it were ever
6
to
to
be
9
challenged
months,
again, yeah.
basically, before another challenge would come up. If
Possibly.
we stuck to the 1 year.
Possibly.
Okay.
Dan?
I just have a procedural question. So if we do want to change the language, how do we do that? If someone makes a motion?
I think that would be a motion here to amend that language in some way. And I don't know, going back to Rich as having raised the issue, did you have something in mind?
I mean, me personally, I feel like 3 years is a more appropriate timeline, but I would be open to other people's suggestions. I also, just to add to it, I think that if a book challenge was successful to where the book was removed, I think the same thing in that regard. I don't know if there's a process we're trying to reinstate that book, but I also think it should be at least, it should be 3 years for that process as well. I think it should be
Equally
no matter
both
which
ways.
way.
So that might actually, you bring up a good point, that that might be something that gets spelled out, not necessarily here per se, possibly, or where resource materials are acquired.
I just have a question, kind of like where, going off of what Andy was saying a little bit. If a work is challenged and then approved, just.
Retained.
Yeah, retained, right? And then re-challenged, can the challenge, does the reason of the challenge need to be different than the original challenge? You know what I'm saying? Like
My
or
sense, yeah,
like,
my
if
sense
I was
on
to say, I don't like this because of this, then the next person re-challenges and says the same reasons, does their reason have to be different to challenge it again, or can it be brought up on the same terms?
I think and Phil, you can certainly weigh in, my read on it was it seemed to be in the broadest sense that the title was challenged once, it was deemed to be retained, therefore that title, regardless of the portion or reason, probably wouldn't be challenged again until that time frame had passed. And I don't know, Phil, if would be your take on it as well.
Yeah, if I may, I agree. And secondly, just another reminder to the board that the policy is the what. There are regulations associated with policies that ask the superintendent to promulgate the how these things can take place. So some of these comments can also be part of what could be a regulation of the media center library policy, 6131. So.
Okay.
So can I make a motion to?
Sure.
To change the language so that it is a 3-year review period?
Hold on.
Well, hold on, we have.
Sure, yeah, more.
So if you go to 3 years, you're essentially kneecapping parents that might not be in the district yet from challenging a book that they don't have kids in there. So say, like, you have a 7th grader or 8th grader, and a book was challenged, they're not in the district yet, they want to come in, they can't challenge it for 3 years? If they so please?
They can
If I may,
challenge the book.
if I may, just again, as far as decorum and the way board meetings run, there's a motion on the table.
We have to
And it
handle
has
the
to be
motion.
seconded, and then
We can have the
it's
discussion.
open to
Debate.
discussion.
So can I get a
hold
second
on.
to Dan's
I'll
motion?
second it.
Brian, okay. Now we are talking about
There you
the
go.
potential of a 3-year window. Rich, would you like to finish your
No, I
point?
just think that if it's 3 years, you have potentially set up a situation where parents can't challenge a book when they're not even in the district yet. They might have to wait 3 years if they can't, student comes in freshman year, they want to challenge it, they can't because it just came off a challenge, and then you have to wait till their junior, maybe senior year before they can do it. I mean, 3 years, I think you're really handicapping parents.
Do you have to be, hold on, it's Nicole, and then I think it was Stephen.
Do you have to have a student in the district to challenge a book?
Well, the new policy does require you to have a student in the district. So you kind of have to have a vested interest in the district in order to put forward a challenge.
There's a couple other, you could be a
Right.
staff member.
Correct, a student themselves, yeah.
Okay.
So there are a couple of avenues to sort of address that. But I think, Rich, your initial point is, yeah, this 3-year window would put that title sort of off limits, I guess, to a challenge. Then,
For the majority-
That was my question.
well,
Actually, the majority of the-
for that window of time,
Yeah.
for the 3 years. Stephen, then
I had the
Rich,
same
and then
question,
Dan.
so.
Okay, all right, Rich and then Dan?
That theoretical parent would have the option of not allowing their child to check the book out, though?
Yeah, we always have to opt out for any parents that want to put their child on a list that they're not allowed to check out certain books.
I still just can't see what fundamentally would change with the book over the course of 1 year. That's just my opinion.
Dan and then Tara?
No, I was gonna make the same point, that this parents still have the opportunity to have their child opt out from taking that book out.
The
Tara?
only thing that I could see that would fundamentally change in the course of 3 years is a different board. There's, we wrote, so every 3 years, there's a term, so there could be new board members on that would hear the new complaint. So that would be the only thing I could see in the 3-year cycle.
Probably that
Rich?
every year.
Even 1 year cycle.
Or every year.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're always,
Yeah, so
every
regardless,
four,
doesn't
yeah,
force
every
it.
year, there's 4 of us, so.
Brian, did you have a point? Other
Can I-
points or discussion on this three-year
ask?
term consideration?
Can I direct a question, Ms. Lund? What do you think would be appropriate?
That's a good question. I think, I still think a year. I think that keeping it at 3 years is really, is it more, I guess my question would be, is that more of an administrative function for the board, to bog the board down, as it is opposed to trying to take a challenge away from parents?
Yeah, I think I'll weigh in on that because I think that's my sense of it. Having been on the board for one of these and having witnessed a prior, the sentiment that came from the president and the board at that time was the challenges were consuming a lot of time, energy, and focus of the work of the board. So in that spirit, I think it's more directed towards allowing the board to focus on the programming of the school or the strategic plan of the school. And I feel like in the last challenge, there was that sort of clause that got added that if a parent had an issue with book in the library, the procedure was to reach out to the media specialist to ask that a note be put in the file so that their child could not take that book out, which I think the feeling at that time was that was giving an outlet to those parents who had a particular concern. But coming back to the point, I would say, my sense was it does take a lot of time, and that if it's a year on year, you could find 3 months of each year potentially,
Well, 3
consumed
months
with that
per-
work
per
for a title. And we actually did have an instance where one of those titles did come up twice. Right, and I mean, the span of years might have been more than 3 at that point, even though that wasn't in effect in the policy at the time. So there is sort of a track record of a book coming up a second time.
But never
with
within
some
a
time.
year.
Not within a year, no.
And I believe it does say that it's the subsequent challenges for at least 1 year from the date of the board's previous determination. So it's not from when it was
Okay.
first challenged, right, if I'm reading this
Yeah,
correctly.
just
It's from when the determination. So you are, giving a little bit of a longer cycle on, if you stick with the 1 year of saying, because it's from our determination. So
Right.
the investigation, a little, I don't know if we said 60 days or 90 days. There's some language in there about that, but you're looking at least, over a year before a book is challenged.
Right, it extends it.
It does extend it.
Correct.
15 months
Um,
longer.
So was there, I thought I saw another hand or question, no?
So at the minimum, if we stick with 1 year, it would be a year and 3 months
Closer to that, yeah,
before another challenge
Yeah.
came up,
But there's,
per title.
correct.
but there's no say, it could be 1 year, right? It could be 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, right? There's.
The length and
Well,
pace.
the policy, so for example, if we said the policy was going to be 3 years, that meant if somebody wanted to challenge that title again, there's a 3-year window that
Right.
we wouldn't take it up unless that 3-year window had lapsed, and then it comes up again, and then we treat it as though it's a new challenge.
Right, what I'm saying is, we're not boxed into any of them. You could make it a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years.
Correct, right, but the discussion on the floor right now is about changing it to 3 years.
Right,
is the
because
conversation.
our first reading has it as
As 1
1 year, and also our first reading says that the review committee shall provide its written report to the Board of Education no later than 60 days from the date of the next Board of Education meeting from the receipt of the completed form. So we're looking at like a 60, maybe a 75-day window, given that now
months,
we're
yeah.
meeting,
Yeah,
twice.
2 meetings, that would.
So it's not, so 60 days is what's in the policy. So if we're talking about a different number, then that's a change to the policy. But
And
it's
that's
60,
given if we can form the committee to review the.
well, it says we have, I mean.
You have to reform the
Right.
committee.
Well, no, I mean,
Yeah.
if we're able to form.
Correct.
The committee, because what
Time
Pam was
factors.
saying, it
Yeah.
took a while to form that committee.
Other, okay.
Is that, can the committee be proactively formed before a challenge, so it's at the ready?
I don't know, because part of the stipulation of the staffing of the committee is an administrator or somebody sort of familiar with the discipline area. So you would theoretically have to pre-staff a science person, an arts
We
person,
would
or
probably have a
something
good
like
idea
that.
on who would be on the committee, so.
Once it's received, I think there's a sense that you would assemble that team pretty quickly.
And again, I think with the deadlines that are specified in here, we're gonna have to, right?
Yeah.
So we'll have to move forward.
I just guess my biggest concern is it kind of, 2 years, 3 years, it kind of takes away the power from the parent for an administrative function for the board, which I personally don't like.
Right.
But it's not, you're not taking the power away from the parent, you're
The board process.
taking it away from, no, but you're taking it away from all parents. So, no, I'm not saying that right.
Yes, I agree.
So, no, I'm not saying that properly. That parent always has the option to opt out.
Correct.
So this is if you're making this motion, I guess you're trying to, feel like you need to protect all students from this book. But so it doesn't take the parent still has the right to opt out and keep their child from getting this book. So, you can almost say that you're taking away the rights of the other parents, because now their child doesn't have access to the book if they wanted them to.
It just limits their ability to challenge.
To a window of 3 years,
window
let's say.
Challenge
Whatever
for
year
all.
it is
Yeah,
determined.
whatever
Correct,
it's determined.
correct.
Right, which in this case on the floor is the discussion of 3 years. There is also, and I feel like this is sort of an adjacent policy, I know our legacy policy had, it was complaints, or whether it was staff complaints, materials complaints, which sort of spells out a sequence of starting at a lower level. So for example, if there were a book in a class that a parent objected to, I mean, I've experienced this personally as an educator, where a parent reaches out and says, this particular book that you're doing in class, we take some issue with it. There's some things in it we don't like. And that affords the teacher at that level to say, okay, well, here's some alternatives that you could potentially read, and that would be a lower level solution. I think sort of in the same spirit that reaching out to the media specialist would be a potential lower level solution to prevent that child from taking out that book, which we currently have in place. I don't know if the school board's policies on complaints, because I know those speak to staff, materials, and things of that sort, spell out all of that. So that might be, independent of this policy, something that we have to look at to see what's there.
And this policy, actually, according to the law, has to have some of those steps in it.
Okay.
Right? So it's sort of almost like a duplication.
Any further questions or clarifications? Andy?
Not that past policy should drive future policy, but did any of our previous policies have any challenge window, re-challenge window previously?
No, that's new. That's new in this law. So I think I'm going to call.
One more.
Oh, okay.
So that's not coming from the NJSBA, or it is, the window?
It is, the window has to be a minimum
A
of 1 year.
minimum of 1 year is what's coming from school boards. We are discussing whether or not to change that to 3 years.
So they instituted that change?
Correct.
Okay.
Historically, there was
none.
never a window.
Okay.
And the Freedom of the Law Act
But the-
actually instituted
Yeah,
that.
Instituted
the
the 1 year.
legislative
Okay.
made it that you
That's
have to
the
have a
language
minimum.
we're-
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
language that the
Okay.
state, so it's a legal, we have to,
Right.
we can't go less than 1 year.
So, okay, I'm sorry, Rich?
No.
Okay. I don't know at this point if we do a voice vote or a roll call vote on the motion to change the language to a 3-year window.
voice vote, but if you'd like, I could do a roll call.
Yeah, let's go roll call vote or to change it to 3 instead of 1 year.
Okay, so the motion is to amend the policy to a 3-year window. Ms. Ayers?
Yes.
Mr. Chapman?
Yes.
Mr. Hanley?
Yes.
Ms. Hintz?
Yes.
Mr. Lordy?
No.
Mr. Matthews?
Yes.
Ms. Mezzacappa?
Yes.
Mr. Morgan?
Yes.
Mr. Spanton?
Yes.
Ms. Stein?
Yes.
And Mr. McIsaac?
Yes.
Thank you, motion carries.
All right. Any other dimensions or details on the policy? Any other items that anybody would like to discuss or consider?
I have a much less consequential,
Okay.
and it's just, I understand So what was linked in the agenda and that we all can see is a red line version of our old policy with all the red, text representing the update that school boards, to get us to have the new policy look just like the school board's policy, now appended by that one change from the word 1 to 3.
Right.
On page, if you guys are all on this, on page 5, there's some stuff that I'm not quite sure, it doesn't follow from our original policy, and I'm not really sure what it's doing.
I think Rich can speak to that.
So, yeah, that was left in there just for informational sources. That will not be part of the policy that will come up for second reading. But because it was in the original language of school board side, basically this is explaining some of the things that were changed up above that.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we will take that section out. If you look at page 5 where it says other reasons and recommendations, that will come out and it will just be legal references and then cross references after that.
Okay, thank you. And we'll still keep the
form.
what do they call exhibit?
So the exhibit will be a separate document, but that will be kept, yes, that will be as it is in here.
Okay.
And I would say probably the only thing to check on that is that the form as existing aligns with the new policy.
Yeah, and well, this is the form that came from school boards.
Oh, okay,
So
got it.
school boards actually.
It's not
developed
our
school
legacy
boards as
form.
well.
Got it. Okay. So any other items on the policy itself? Because we are still within the broader motion at this time. We had an amendment. We voted on the amendment, changing it from 1 year to 3. So I think we're still doing a motion or a vote on the policy writ large in its entirety. We'll go to a voice vote on that. All in favor? Aye. Opposed or abstain? Mr. Lordy? Okay. Thank you. And then, as I said, we will visit this in a second read next month. One order of business, Mr. Lordy, we needed to catch a vote from you on curriculum instruction and technology. You had stepped out on the call and motion to do the voice vote on the curriculum instruction, technology presentation, and home instruction.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we're moving to facilities, finance, transportation. I need a call for a motion and a second to approve agenda items 14.1 through 14.11. Can I get the motion and the second? I see the motion, Dan. The second, Tara, thank you. Questions, clarifications, details on this? One thing I will just add, I know we pushed out some resources to new board members about how to read financial reports. Katie is in possession of those, and she is going to work together. She's going to work on a communication that helps you navigate those reports to answer those questions. And I asked at a future meeting that she might be able to present on that, but in the interim, she's going to put together to say, and I can't remember what the school board guidance was, but basically you needed to be able to understand that these charges over here match these charges over there. And those documents are large and a little unwieldy and hard to understand sometimes. So she's going to put that together for us to assist with that process. That's just a heads up.
Is it possible that this LM notebook, so notebook LM?
That I don't know. That's a good question.
An old guy doesn't know.
That's what I think we're really referencing is Notebook LM tried to, the one document that we have in there that I saved as a note, it mentioned the treasurer's report, making sure it matches, that's the cash.
Yeah.
I don't want to, it mentioned having these things reconciled, and that's why they're there.
There's 3 items that it navigated board members to look at, everyone. And those are the 3 things that I just want to help you find so that you can have comfort in what you're approving.
But it's not as easy as Notebook LM said it was.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm going to have Katie explain it a little bit more.
Well, I'm hoping that humans will always have a.
Yeah, have a place. Yes, as we are, all are.
But this idea of being able to ask it questions at, whenever, and not leave Katie alone might be.
Other questions or clarifications on any of these items? Rich?
So I missed last meeting, so if I can just get a quick recap on the bills description. So something, I missed it, I just want to get clarification on it.
So Katie, I don't know, I know last month Katie did a presentation and sort of did a brief walkthrough on each item. I know one of the notes was the inclusion of the details on the bills list. That was a prior request and are there now, but Katie, go ahead. I don't know if there was something.
In the past, we had the descriptions. At some point during the year, it looks like those were dropped, so I put them back on the bills list. It was not a heavy lift. It's just a matter of including the purchase order, kind of brief detail of each of the checks. So you'll see that listed.
Okay, so that's gonna be on there going forward.
Yeah, it's on there right now.
It's on there.
Yeah.
It's on there now, yeah.
I guess if we had known that, that would have created I would have gotten screamed at in December about it, overstepping and micromanaging if it wasn't a heavy lift. I don't know why we could have just squashed that whole debate about asking for bill descriptions right then and there. Like, the whole conversation could have been avoided if it.
Well, I think it was one of those things that at the time, it wasn't recognized that information that historically was there wasn't for something, for
Well,
that
if I
reason.
understood it right, it was there at the beginning of the year, then there was a void.
During my absence,
During-
it was ran differently.
Right.
And then it looks like that's how it was continued to be run. So we just put that information back on the bills list.
Okay, so it wasn't put back when you came back though, correct? It was not there when you were, for the 7 months?
Correct.
Okay.
Other questions or clarifications?
That's very helpful. I will
Yeah,
say that.
it is.
It is.
I appreciate it.
It's definitely helpful. I mean, again, and then we talked about it, we don't need to talk about staples and stuff, but when there's some of these vendors on there, we would have no idea what they were.
Right. And those are the things you're certainly, at liberty to get clarity on. All right. So voice vote, all in favor?
But just to clarify, on the training and travel, we have two board
Exactly,
members
and
that.
I'm going to do one of them. So I think folks are in favor. I have to hold from the one for my training and travel
Oh, I guess
So
that's,
would you like to abstain on
on
14-7?
that one, yep. And then
That's
who
what
else is potentially?
I'm
okay.
going.
Stephen and Nicole? Okay. All right. Anybody else who had board training or travel? Okay. And beyond that, I think we're all in favor. Yes?
We didn't do
Oh, wait, the
abstentions.
abstentions or no's?
You need to abstain.
Abstain for Merrill?
I'm voting no on 14.9, 14.10, and 14.11.
Okay.
So you're voting no on 14, 9, 10, and 11.
Correct.
Okay, so per the accountability regs, I do have to let the county know if you're voting no on the financial certification and the board secretary report, then I need to know why.
I fear my comment might bleed into performance, so I'd rather not go there.
Is abstaining an option?
No.
Then perhaps we can get the comment after the board meeting that you can record.
All right. Community Relations and Student Affairs. Can I get a call for a motion and a second to approve agenda items 15.1, overnight field trips? Can I get a motion? Nicole, thank you. Second? Second. Andrea, thank you. Questions or clarifications? All in favor? Aye. Opposed or abstentions? Merrill, thank you. Delegates reports, I don't think we have anything at this point. We didn't last meeting. I know
No.
you were sharing the upcoming session.
Yeah, not on the delegates, but for this Thursday, it's virtual, and it's going to be a wonderful presentation. We have John Nash from Esquire from Legal One, and Gada Vogel, who's a coordinator of mental health, wellness, and law. And it's going to explore critical connections between HIB and student mental health. There'll be a lot of key legal considerations and protocols related to addressing both mental health needs of students involved in HIB incidents. And since HIB comes up and, we're allowed, it might be a great session for especially new board members, but all board members to join in. You can ask questions, and that way because we have to make a determination on these, month after month, and it will help clarify some of the things that we're voting on, but also for us as to strengthen our school climate through proactive policies, practices, and partnerships regarding HIB and mental health initiatives in the district. So I welcome you all, and you don't have to leave your house in the cold.
Are those meetings recorded?
They are.
They are.
I'm pretty sure they're recorded, or well, they're broadcast live, because we always have the hybrid.
Right. I won't be able to tune in at that
Yeah.
time, but I would be interested.
Okay, I'll see if I
seeing
can
it
get a
later.
recording on it.
Okay.
If not, we'll take notes for you.
Thank you.
All right, can I get a call for a motion and second to adopt our resolution for an executive session to discuss matters reflected in the attached resolution? The board expects to be in executive session. I don't think it's going to be 45 minutes, but and upon return to public session, action will be taken. All in favor?
Motion.
Motion, I'm sorry, motion. Dan, second?
Second.
Second, Andrea, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstention? None? Okay.
Brendan, this was pretty smooth for the first action.
I know, it's great.
Getting there.
I mean.
Getting the chops Can I get a call? Oh, that's right, camera. Good. Can I get a call for a motion and second to reconvene public session? Motion was Brian, second Stephen, thank you. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstentions? Now can I get a call for a motion and a second to approve agenda items 19.1 through 19.3 and to include hand carries if provided? Can I get that motion?
Motion.
Motion, Dan, second. Andrea, thank you. Questions, clarifications? All in favor? Aye. Abstentions? No?
Executive session, December.
The executive minutes for December 16th.
I'm going to conduct.
Oh, okay, got it, it's coming.
So you can be loose with these things too.
Ms. Ayers? Yes to 19.1 and 19.3, abstain from 19.2.
Got it. Mr. Chapman?
Yes to all.
Mr. Hanley?
Yes to 1 and 3, abstain 2.
Abstain from 19.
19.
Mr. Roy?
Yes, all 3.
Sorry, Ms. Hicks?
Yes, all 3.
Mr. Matthews?
Yes to 19.1, 19.3, abstain from 19.2.
Ms. Mezzacapa?
Abstain.
Mr. Morgan?
Yes to 19.1, 19.3, abstain from 19.2.
Mr. Stanton?
Yes.
Ms. Stein?
Yes to all.
Mr. McIsaac?
Yes to all?
Thank you, motion carries.
All right, under old and new business, the only thing I want to share, if you recall, last week, I shared with the board the feedback on those survey questions, which included suggestions for liaisons, norms. I shared with you sort of a summary of the comments and sort of a summarized overview of what they are. So I would ask if you could look at those. Meryl will see that we get that to you and that's shared with you, so that we can begin to sort of finalize some of the thinking around norms, the liaisons that we might look to have, and sort of how we're addressing those items on the agenda, like the business administrator's report and those things. So we're sharing on those items, and I want to give, another bit of time for folks to look at that summary and provide any final feedback. Okay, that's it for me. Any other business? Oh, all right. Brian?
A new item, I guess. But after we've done this change to the new structure, with a working meeting and then today's meeting, I wonder if there's a way to indicate in the action meeting, the second meeting of the month, which items are unchanged or which items were changed specifically, so that because we went through a lot of things, but and examples here, like 14.5, the budget calendar. At the working meeting, it wasn't yet developed.
Right.
And now it was, but everything before that had already been discussed. So as I was going through the new agenda, I thought, well, do I need to go look at everything just to see if there was a change, to an item? The resolution, we talked about at the last meeting that we were going to approve it this time, but if it's the exact same wording, we discuss it. If something's changed between then and now, I think when you vote for this, you got to be saying, I understand what's on this right now. It really doesn't even matter what happened a week ago. It's what is on the agenda right now that I'm voting for. But it would be helpful to be able to separate into two categories. Completely unchanged. You've already talked about it.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And either you didn't talk about this, or I had to make, or
A revision or
a
something.
revision was made, another name was put on the personnel agenda, things happen, even in a week.
Could that be done as simply as putting like Rev and a date next to an item that was updated and
Yeah.
Yeah,
And then that's just.
one thought I had that was something along those lines would be like, and maybe the easiest thing would be to, like asterisks, agenda items that were new or modified. Hoping that most of the things would not be new or modified, but only a few. There'll be a few in FFT because there's going to always be, that we haven't yet finalized everything at the working meeting time, and now it's ready to be voted on. Anyways, I leave that to you guys to think about.
Sure. I think as we move through this too and we get more used to the structure, you're going to see less of that.
Yeah, I do know, like,
We'll
when you
have-
read them.
The stuff from last week will be exactly what we're voting on this week.
Yeah, and so
Unless
maybe
there's a personnel or something.
noting what's new and different would be fewer things than noting what hasn't changed.
Because I do know, like, when you open it up, it'll let you know if you've seen the document, and then it'll let you know if there's been changes since the last time you viewed them. But that means we have to open everything up again to see it, so, yeah.
That's something that happens?
Yeah. But to have it asterisk, then you know that we don't have to reopen it, because there's a lot to open.
But that's also assuming it's the same source file. If
Right.
it moves from one
Exactly.
folder to another, then
Then it won't be,
Copy of the
okay.
file.
Yeah.
So, I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, but I like
And
the
will
little
it change
asterisk that say
the
change.
location, because you like have a folder for yesterday or last week's agenda,
This
and then a
month it didn't.
folder for.
See, but this month is different because they were both public agendas, so they're both publicly available, so, yeah, exactly. In the past, it would have went from
Yeah.
a non-public file to a public file. Now it's a public file from the get-go.
There's two separate public files.
You guys perfectly understand what I'm hoping for is a
But we'll have to
little bit
digest it, yeah. and just-
of like, okay, that's already done. We talked about it, and I'm mentally fine with, either voting for or against it or whatever.
Absolutely.
Andy, did you have something more on that?
I
Was
was
that?
going to say the same thing, Tara.
All right, Phil, any other new business
One more.
items? Yep.
Just circling back on the wrestling thing, so procedural process, is that something that superintendent's gonna decide and handle, or is that coming before the board for a decision? I just didn't know how that was gonna play out.
I think right now, and Rich, you can correct me if I'm wrong, there's a conversation happening to see if there's a solution, but I think any ultimate report that comes out would speak to both the short-term solution and if there's longer-term conversations
Sounds
to be
like-
had as well.
I'm handling it.
You're handling it, so the decision's not gonna be on the board, correct? If I'm hearing that correctly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Was the original decision on the board?
Really, the only thing that the board votes on here is whether or not they want to approve the overnight trip.
Right.
Okay, right.
That will be coming to you regardless in
Okay.
February. And again, with the wrestlers, it determines, we hope and we anticipate that there'll be wrestlers going to the state tournament. That doesn't always happen, right? Sometimes they lose the districts and then they don't go. But we have a good crop of wrestlers. They are confident that they were going to send at least, 5 or 6 from North, and maybe 2 or 3 from Voorhees. And so that's the conversations that we're having right now is, when do we approve that and what action the board needs to take? And all you need to do is approve the overnight trip.
But, so we approve the trip, but we're not getting involved in whether the school pays for it or not.
Correct.
I think we could, as a board, approach this from a policy perspective, something like, it should be, whatever criteria are used, they should be applied across the board. It shouldn't matter whether you're a wrestler or a jazz musician.
Well,
I think that's what they're exploring, right, is the impact.
Well,
That's my
yeah.
position, that's not, I can't speak for the board, but I would say we should encourage the district to use uniform assessment criteria, not to say, well, hey, no, we've had great wrestlers in the past, so they're our heritage, so we're gonna treat them special.
The one thing I do want to point out is I want to make sure everyone has plenty of notice to be able to accommodate this. And so that's one of the things that, again.
Surprises are to be avoided as well, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So
but-
I'm going to have that conversation with the building leadership to make sure that they are communicating now and also next year or the beginning of the year to make sure that everyone is on the same page. Because I think with some change in personnel and change in Booster Club leadership and things like that, that's where some things fell through the cracks, and I don't want to take away any opportunities for students. Obviously, that's our goal here, is to make sure we take care of the kids. And sometimes that's taking care of the coaches, so they take care of the kids. But that doesn't mean it has to be a permanent.
Okay. Phil, not to box you in, but you have 1 minute.
The board's enactment of its new schedule of 2 meetings per month was preceded by real legitimate concerns by the prior board that enacted this. And I just want to say that I think the board is like 95% of the way towards a remarkable rolling this out in this first month, where we were all anticipating some real difficult times. We didn't want it to run 6 hours, etc. The only suggestion I would have to go from 95% to 100% is when it comes to board level discussion, to wait for the board president or his designee to recognize you before you speak and direct all of your comments to the board president. And I get that more from, there's a book called Getting to Yes, which I use in negotiations a great deal. And basically there's this real corny, trite saying that says in Getting to Yes, be tough on the issues and soft on the people. And I would strongly say that no board member will ever come to this board meeting again with an upset stomach, nervous about what the quality is going to be like if we follow everything goes through the board president, wait to be recognized, and speak to the board president, be soft on each other and tough on the issues. And you're going to go from a remarkable 95% first month to 100%.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Call for a motion and second to adjourn. Nicole on the motion, Dan on the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? No? All right, that's a wrap.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. This was good.